Welcome back, everyone. This is Michael Gibbs, and I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Careers. And we have a really fun show for you tonight. A really critical show on tech career success factors and how to interview for a job and how to get hired of anything. So we'll talk about some cloud architect interview mistakes. Not only have I seen many, but oh my God, there's been some dangerous cloud architect interview guidance I've been seeing out there.
Yeah.
I have to share that. I mean, so dangerous that it'll destroy your career. So I want to make sure we protect you all because we want you all getting cloud hired.
Exactly.
So, I mean, these solution architect career mistakes and guidance, somebody even left it in comments on my YouTube channel. And when I tried to tell him all the reasons why, he said, why are you talking about this? And I said, the reason is I worked hard to get everybody hired. I put 25 years into my expertise in my career. And I build my channel and work hard to make sure everybody gets cloud hired, not cloud fired. So, he may not have understood it, but, that person will be on the unemployment line. And I want you all cloud hired. By the way, while we're at it, we got another cloud hire today. It's Lohit. Yes. And we love Lohit. Congratulations, Lohit. He's starting at AWS. Congratulations. And I got notified of another one, too. So, the cloud hires matter to me. That's why we live. That's why Chris works. That's why I work. That's why Alonzo's here. That's why Eddie's here. Calvin, exactly.
We got music now.
This is good. Music now. Sound effects. Something other than reggae. I can't be outside listening to reggae, singing along while I'm practicing yoga. Today I was singing along. My neighbors were looking at me. No, officer, me no like ganja man. Me only smoke cigarettes from the island, because that was the song from a Kalibud song that I was singing while I was practicing yoga. Don't do that. Or your neighbor's going to be knocking on your door saying, what's going on with you? Or Mr. Yogi? Or you Mr. So check out my recent post on LinkedIn. I made a critical post for your career success. So we'll talk a little bit about this, because you can consider this solutions architect interview training or cloud architect interview training. And, if you ask the question about how to ask for career advice, we'll cover that, because it's so critical. Because I want every cloud architect to have the best cloud architect career. So this is your tech interview guidance, your tech interview tips, your cloud architect interview tips, cloud engineer interview tips, and these are critical tech career success factors. So I won't babble so much more, because my world's about getting people cloud hired. I got one today, like usual, and it's a celebration every day. You'd think I'd get tired of celebrating, but no,
never done.
Let's congratulate Lohit for getting cloud hired. You can possibly share a link to his post if you want. I tried to share it, but the share button was deactivated. But whatever the case is, let's get you all cloud hired, and we're here. So before we begin, I want to talk about a few things. On Thursday, we're going to have my favorite, How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar. Every week, people come from all over the world, and we tell them, what do hiring managers desire? How do you get hired when you lack experience? How do you bypass those pesky HR people and get your resume directly in the hands of the hiring manager and plead your case why they should hire you and show that you're competent despite your lack of experience? They'll tell you about the things you need, the certifications that'll help you versus the certifications that will destroy your career and make you look like an unfocused, confused person, which we don't want to do. We don't want to destroy your brand. We want to build your brand. Almighty, I agree. We need more sound effects. My team should start looking at it. So marketing people on my team, sound effects, please. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Let's get it.
Let you know about a few other things that we're doing after the webinar. I strongly encourage you to attend, because I want you all cloud hired. We're going to be releasing a Google Professional Cloud Architect book very soon, completely free. So check out the link, sign up for it, and you'll get it this moment it's there. And follow us on LinkedIn. I've got about 20 magazine articles I haven't even shared with you in all these major publications on building your career. I'm going to be sharing them along with our YouTube videos, and we're making a lot more. And guess what? I got a new video. My video editor's back from her pregnancy. You'll notice cool videos. They're looking cool, good sound effects, good graphics, and we're all excited about it. And please do check out that recent post I made. I want everybody to watch. And while you're at it, please leave a comment on it so I know you saw it, so I know that my people on my channel are going to have the skills they take to get cloud hired. Because like my good friend Alonzo says, you can't cash a certification at the bank. So you got 50 of them, guess what? You got 50 pieces of worthless paper where if you've got a good career and you get hired, you can cash that at the bank. You can buy your wife or husband whatever they need. Bless you, Chris. Take better care of your kids and build a life for your family. So get hired and let's click cloud hired. But today, Wow. Interview mistakes. We got to talk about them. And my cat is here, obviously. Cindy's trying to tell me she wants to go out. So at some point, Cindy, I will find a way to disappear for 5 minutes and take you out, love. So let's talk about, what's that?
Well, I got, hold on. I got something you shared with me the other day. I figured I would make sure that you know that that we've got people working on things all the time. So let's see here. Bear with me a second.
Sure.
I was not prepared for this, but
I don't even know what you're doing.
We've got people. I have people working all the time, so I just gotta make sure you know what they're up to.
I don't see it. I see a pretty blue screen.
Oh no, it's not working.
Because we all know I love blue.
Little bit, yeah.
I love blue.
That's his favorite color.
Dang! It was a picture of our resident engineer. She was working hard behind the scenes, but
Oh no.
let's see if it's working now.
Oh.
See, I can't see it now, but I don't know if you can see it.
Is it related to my troubleshooting coach?
Yeah, apparently it's not working. Oh,
That's
well.
okay. I will play the video of my troubleshooting coach if I knew that's what you were doing. So for my students who wonder why occasionally I make you do some extra debugging, oh, let me show you our troubleshooting coach. And she gets paid a lot of money to do this in terms of wreaking havoc into the system. And then we'll actually get to the concept. But yes, we've got employees of all backgrounds, all experience levels. And bear with me for this. Oh, this is a very good one for you to see. So let me figure out how to do this. Okay, I got it. So let me share this. Share a video file. It's sitting on my desk. This is our in-house troubleshooting coach, Chris. Watch what she does to the Ethernet cables.
It's like, oh, here's the problem over here. Found it.
Watch.
Yep, there it is.
There it
right
is.
There. Oh.
So every day you want to know every time somebody's got an issue with one of our servers, it's little Cindy doing her job, chewing through Ethernet cables, unplugging. I'm going to have to start paying her in something other than shrimp, scallops, tuna, and salmon for all the
throwing a
troubleshooting.
little catnip for Mike.
I mean, I'll take that pay.
Yeah, sure.
Tuna, shrimp, salmon. Jeez.
She literally she wakes me up by kissing and licking my face, and then she walks me to the kitchen, and she walks directly and she looks in this cabinet, and I open a can of Costco only white Albuquerque solid tuna. She won't eat Bumblebee. She won't eat any other brand. It has to be the Costco brand. So I have like 400 of them because when they change brands, she won't eat that at all. She likes fresh salmon, fresh tuna, especially seared ahi tuna if I sear it for her. And she also likes scallops and shrimp. She eats them every single day.
Oh, so yeah, so that's our resident tech. So now she's trying to find more music for us, but who knows what she's going to find. All right. So what Mike doesn't realize until probably watching the pre-roll footage of the show tonight was that I'm bringing back the potential discount for 30% off. Surprise, Mike.
Woo-hoo, I love a discount. I like a good deal, as my wife says.
Well, I've got a reason behind it.
Okay.
We brought it out at the beginning of the summer when things weren't looking so hot for the economy and everything, and people were getting squeezed a little bit. So we unfortunately, after today's inflation numbers came out again, the inflation going up to 8.3%. I thought that we needed to bring that discount back.
Ouch.
And the Fed's raising rates to suck more effort out of the economy. And there's a plan to reduce inflation, which is spending, hundreds of $billion dollars, which is going to crank up inflation even further.
Yeah. So the number 8 stuck out to me, especially when I decided to do the math, do 8.3. There's a simple way to look at how this affects you as an individual. Wait, Alonzo, when's your birthday?
Sunday.
Oh, I got another reason for a discount. All right.
It works for me.
Anyway, but no, so essentially 8.3% inflation rate means that over the past, on an annualized basis, you're losing a month's pay.
Yep. Average American is working a month for free right now over where they were a year ago.
Because if you take 100, which is a year, a full year is 100%. You divide that by 12, you get 8.2 something. So essentially, we're earning less. We're earning a 11 months pay for an entire year. So this is one of the reasons why we do the discounts that we do. In case people wonder why we're always throwing around discounts, it's because we're trying to help people out. And Mike says it all the time that he asks the team to come up with the lowest rate possible, and by the team he means me. He's like, Chris, what are our costs?
I
What
do.
can we do?
Every time I see a certification provider, tell people, get the sysops, the DevOps, the cloud developer. And by learning all from a single person, guess what happens? Not only do you not learn from other people, which builds your professionalism, when you're learning everybody else's job, you know what you're not learning? Your job.
Yeah.
And here's what happens. All those people make those mistakes. It's the saddest thing. A year later, they come to me and I get them hired. But don't lose that year. In that year, you could have learned $160,000 to $200,000. Get cloud hired by training right. You know, you don't become an airplane pilot by becoming a flight attendant and then an airplane mechanic and then hope you're going to learn on the job. You train for the job you want, you master the job you want, and you get hired. You know, I've never seen it. 20 years ago, you know, people were, at least the certifications were taught by people that knew. They were taught by Cisco and Microsoft, not somebody in their house that never worked in the job in their entire life. No. They got 10 certifications and all of a sudden they're an expert on these things. So yeah, I ask my team every day, what's the cheapest price we can offer this and still manage to survive and support our employees and continue to grow? Because I want the world cloud hired and I don't care about anything else other than cloud hired.
All right. Well, let me see what this is. No, don't like that one. Okay. All right, I gotta find better music.
I vote for reggae. Bob Marley's my favorite. Ziggy Marley's my second favorite. Oh, my third, it's a cross between Damian Marley, even though he's a little young for me, as well as Skip Marley I kind of like. So I don't know. I'm kind of in that place, but my place is all reggae. So everybody loves somebody sometimes, as the song says.
All right.
It's always good for me.
It's better than Bon Jovi. All right. So, all right. Well, let's get on with the topic.
Let's get on the first piece of critic.
Let's get us a hashtag before we.
Yeah, we're down for a hashtag. Cloud hired.
No,
tech
give us a
interview.
cloud architect interview hashtag and a tech interview hashtag.
Oh, we're leaving out our engineer friends.
A cloud engineer hashtag too. I don't care.
Well, I can't type out that many.
Well, cloud architect interview, cloud engineer interview based upon your goals, and a cloud hired, of course. And Cindy, are you eating my headset right now? Honestly, she's just chewing through cables by the minute. I can't find a cable.
Just a little gremlin
that she can't deal with. Cindy, I like that and that's cute, but maybe I've got a better idea for you. Why don't you play with this little piece of cardboard? There you go.
Yeah, I think that's better.
Just soak it in tuna juice and she'll be fine.
Yeah, so let's get into some concepts as we see these hashtags coming in. So about a week ago, I saw somebody make this post and I saw 400 likes to it, which scared the living daylights out of me. And the advice was, when you have no experience, here's what you do. Start a limited liability company or an S Corp and build the company and then create fake jobs for that company. So when I saw this and saw the number,
Wait. Say that again.
the advice, and 400 and some people like this ridiculous LinkedIn post said, when you're new and you don't have experience, fake it. Here's the best way to
Wow.
fake it and make it look legitimate. Start a company like an LLC or an S Corp, register it, create a fake website and register the domain, and then list yourself as an employee for the position.
So in addition to faking all this stuff, I'm going to shell out hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to create this fake company, because it's not cheap to register a corporation with the state and get all your ducks in a row to make sure it's legitimate. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's cheap, but for an individual that doesn't have a job,
and they went to one of these, I'll form you a corporation people for $1,000.
right?
And then they made a cheap little website by themselves. The problem is, we're all going to look at the company and see when it was formed, for one thing.
Right.
Then we're going to look at the number of employees that work at the company, and we're only going to see one, and that's going to be really scary. And this information is readily available when we start looking at companies. Then we're going to look at the company's revenue and see a big fat zero. And if that wasn't bad enough, I'm going to, as soon as I see that fake job, I won't even interview the person.
Yeah.
And normally if I interview the person and they're polite, I'm not going to torture them. Even if they don't know, I'll feed them cookies. I'll be polite. But, when I see this, and I saw it once, person had this job. I said, tell me about this company. And I knew it was fake. And he lied to me. I said, get out. And he said, what do you mean get out? I said, you just lied to me. You made a fake job. This is fraud. I don't hire fraudsters. I don't need fraudsters in my company. Maybe think about learning who you are, learn some honesty, learn some ethics. I said, otherwise, I'm just walking you out or going to have security walk you out. I can't even talk to you because I was so ticked off. In fact, unfortunately, I had an interview this way a couple days ago because of the other dangerous advice that I hear people giving out. And we're all seeing it as hiring managers right now. I hire people all the time. I interview people constantly. My friends who are chief technology officers, CEOs, they're like, Mike, who do you got? And when I tell them people, they're like, okay, good. I want to talk to this person. I know you. I trust you. Your instinct is good because I worked with it. How would you feel, Chris, if you saw a fake company on a resume?
So I don't think I've ever had a fake company, but I've had fake jobs, which is pretty much the same thing. And which is because my experience is in the hotel industry, and I hate to say it, it's easy to fake your employment in the hotel industry. There's literally millions and millions of hourly jobs and low-level management jobs in the hotel industry. But now that I think about it, I would actually do what you talk about you doing with the job descriptions with your friends, sitting around laughing about the job descriptions. We would pull what was a blatantly fake resume. We would put them in a pile and just go through them and just tear them apart in our heads.
Yeah,
they were fodder for our relieving our stress from the day at the end of the day, because it's like, this is so it's so blatantly obvious that it's fake. And then if I do get somebody in an interview that I didn't happen to catch and realize it was fake, it becomes apparent pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
And then it's very easy to allow the individual to show their lack of knowledge by just asking simple questions about the job or about the company. In this case, if it were a fake LLC, you just start asking questions about the company's operations.
Yeah.
and if it's fake, they're not going to be able. They're going to have to think about the answers. They're not going to be able to give you an answer immediately. And same with my experience with people that have done fake jobs. And I realize I'm small here. Let me go big. And it's the same with people that have faked, fake jobs. If somebody puts on a resume a fake job or something, they don't know what that job actually entails.
Exactly.
Right.
They know what they think it entails. They know what people have told them it entails, but they don't know what could go wrong. What it's like when it's not just right. They don't know that job, and they can't talk about that job. Right. And it's just, like I said, it's just so obvious to us hiring managers that it is fake. And it ends any discussion at any opportunity. Yeah. And if the individual does get through it, it's grounds for termination immediately.
Instantly.
Yeah.
As soon as it's found out, you'll be terminated.
Yep. And walked out. Embarrassing.
You could have been there for 3 years, and as soon as somebody finds out that you faked your degree or you lied about a job or anything in your resume, it's grounds for termination. Now, they may not do it immediately. They may
wait till
they let you finish that amazing project that you're on, but as soon as it's done.
Can you imagine the embarrassment? I mean, wow. That would be horrible, thinking that you got over and you get a call from HR, or even worse, I've seen it.
I've had to make that call when I was in HR.
Yeah, and seeing, how, and then this was when this happened to me, or not happened to me, but I saw the experience of someone being terminated because of similar circumstances. And this was during the era where there were a lot of going postal incidences.
I remember that.
And we all had to, like, everybody is going, they had to go into a room. And next thing you know, the person that you thought was behind you was gone. And it's like, okay, then you get this shocking news that this person, did some unethical stuff. And next thing you know, they're out on the street and you never see them again unless you reach out to them on a personal note. But overall, it all goes back to ethics. It goes back to integrity. It goes back to a lot of different things that you need that are quantifiable and support who you are on your resume. So if you will lie about small things, imagine the lack of trust that they won't have about you being in charge of multi-million-dollar architecture. What are you going to lie about? Will that one lie and that Pareto's rule, that 20-80 rule of issues that you cause for me could disrupt, bankrupt, or otherwise drag our reputation through the mud as an organization, not only in the industry, but with clients and customers as well. So it could be a large problem for organizations just through that lie.
Oh yeah, I mean, it all goes back to somehow people think that as candidates, the people that they're interviewing with aren't smart, don't have the competency to.
Right.
That's what it goes back to. It's like, do you think that a hiring manager is going to ask any question he doesn't know the answer to?
Of course not.
Right.
Unless it's a personal question, personal to you. Obviously, he's not going to know. But,
exactly.
But let's say someone fakes. Let's say someone fakes that they had an LLC, that they were a consultant for. Let's take me for an example. I was in the hospitality industry for 12 years, developed hotels from the ground up. In theory, I could have gone out and become a hotel consultant. Mm-hmm. I still could if I had the desire to. I might do that when I'm 60 years old. I don't know. But
not anybody soon, please.
That's why I said 60. I'm 30. Okay. I'm 36. Don't make that sound like it's but I mean the gray might be deceiving. But yeah, so I could in theory do it. But let's take somebody that's worked at a front desk at a hotel or managed a hotel for a year or two, decides they're going to go out and make a resume saying that they owned a hotel consulting company. I'm not going to ask them questions about hotel operations.
No.
I'm going to ask them questions about that business. What were the difficulties of running that business? What were the operations of running the business like? What kind of what were the hiring practices like for that company? I'm not going to ask them about the actual consulting. I'm going to ask them about actually running the business. And then that's when they're not going to know the answers.
It all falls apart.
It all falls apart. It makes me think of a movie. Have you guys ever heard of the movie Shattered Glass?
Sounds familiar.
So it's about I believe it's a true story. Yeah, it's a true story. Here's the synopsis from IMDb. The film tells the true story of a fraudulent DC journalist, Stephen Glass, who rose to meteoric heights as a young writer in his 20s in the late 90s, becoming a staff writer at the New Republic for 3 years, where 27 of his 41 published stories were found to either be partially or completely made up.
Wow. Wow. Just wow.
You know, I remember
that's a guy that actually had the capability and the ability and the opportunity to do amazing things, but still chose to lie.
Yes.
He only worked for 3 years and then boom.
We had
Never
a person
employable again.
there was a person in West Palm Beach, Florida, and my God, this is, you know, there's cheating and hurting people and destroying your career, and then there's killing people by accident. There was a 16-year-old who looked 25. I don't know how he did it. He opened an internal medical practice in Palm
Yes.
Beach.
Yes.
Medical degrees.
Malachi Love Morrison.
Yeah.
That's that guy.
And he got out of jail and he moved to North Carolina and he did it again.
Yeah.
So while we're on the topic of fake, before we go to the next interview cheating thing, which is so critical, and I can't believe this advice is being given out every day, let's talk about fake jobs like Chris was alluding to. Nobody has a job of an AWS cloud practitioner. Nobody. And I see this on resumes every day. And when I see somebody who's got working for a company as an AWS cloud practitioner, here's what I do to that resume. Trash. Because I know the person's what, you know, where I'm from, we'd call them a ganef. But, you know, they're a criminal. They're a liar. I can't trust them. So what do employers care about? Can you do the job? Not if you're certified. Nobody cares about certification other than certification provider. Can they trust you? Critical to everyone. Do you know what you know and know what you don't know, so you don't take down the Google Cloud with a BGP misconfiguration or take down Facebook with a BGP configuration? That happened this year. They care about that. They care about your attitude, your energy, your enthusiasm, your passion for the work. They care about likability. Look at Chow from my team. I don't know if she's on here. If so, bring her in just so you could see her smile. She walks in and lights up the room. Eddie Kim does the same thing. I mean, Leo does the same thing. We've got some people that are so exceptional. They walk in and they make me feel good. Employers don't want that. What do they want to know? You're willing to go above and beyond, and they know that you can't do anything on your own. Anything big and important requires a team. They care if you're a team player. That's it. They don't care about your certs. And if you lie, it is over, over, over. So let's see the common fake jobs that I see. A cloud practitioner. I see an AWS solution architect. You know where AWS solution architects work, everybody? AWS. If you're an AWS solution architect on your title and you're not working for AWS, chances are you made up the job. That's what the employers are going to do with that piece of paper. I can tell you right now, trash. We can't deal with it. We can't hire people we don't trust. So no fake jobs, none whatsoever. And now the question is in the chat box, which I'll address. Why do some recruiters ask you to start an LLC? For this reason, they do corp to corp hiring, meaning if they don't want to hire you as a full employee and give you benefits, they will hire you as a 1099 subcontractor. And it's a lot easier to hire somebody that has an LLC as a subcontractor than it is as an employee, because there's less things that you need to worry about from the employer perspective. So that's why recruiters that charge people, Kelly, do that, but not because they want to see it on your resume, because it's making it easier to get you a non-full-time employee job.
I want to say something to that. So I was actually going to speak about this earlier. So There's not anything wrong with doing that
No.
if you do it.
Yes.
The important thing is on the resume, and this is what I was talking about. If I'm able to catch them, everybody's able to catch them. If you've actually done it, or whatever it is that you're describing there, Kelly, that's a very clear. We actually had an example of that on our resume workshop on Friday, where somebody was a contractor that worked for a large corporation, and we were making sure that we listed it correctly on the resume. But the important thing is it would be blatantly obvious in the resume that that's legitimate.
Yes.
Because of the way that the individual will be able to describe it. And then, of course, when they get in the interview, they'll be able to talk about it even better than what they were in the resume, because obviously you're limited to words in the resume. But so just because it's an LLC doesn't mean it's a fraud. That just means that what we're talking about is the practice of people literally advising people make up a fake company to show experience.
Totally fictitious. It's
totally fictitious.
It's like a fake identity. It's really like you're creating a fake identity, like to get into a bar when you're underage. It's just totally illegitimate, you know.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, I don't have my paperwork. I have an LLC, but that's because I worked by myself for years.
And that's different, though.
But that's different. So yeah, it boils down to the sorry, I got my blanket here. I'm getting tangled up. It's cold in my office. Behind the scenes with Chris.
Get a cat, nice warm cat. Have her sit in your lap, or him sit in your lap. He'll be warm as can be.
I got penguin blanket.
That would work.
But yeah, so what it boils down to is it legitimate? If it's legitimate, then there's nothing wrong with it, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about when it's knowingly fake. And Alonzo was talking about about seeing people getting the escort out. I did human resources for a casino. And so you can imagine what it was like when someone that falsified documentation to get their gaming license from the gaming commission.
Ooh, yeah.
And you would have, those are interesting phone calls when you have to make those phone calls.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
not good.
No, not good at all. But somehow it got through the gaming commission. I don't know about that, but anyway.
Well, okay, now we got to talk about the next one. This person came to my YouTube channel and started advising people to do this in the comments. I asked them not to participate in my YouTube channel anymore because I wanted to help people. The person's advice was it's almost as bad as if you want to be a cloud architect, get the SysOps developer, the DevOps certification, the cloud developer, and all these other things instead of learning your job. This is even as dangerous as that. So this person advice was here's a new interview tactic. Don't interview in person, interview at home, keep a couple of windows open so you can Google stuff and write notes for yourself. Now, why is this bad? Well, first, it's cheating, and I'm going to cover that. But if you have the opportunity to interview in person, interview in person. And here's why. If I had to sell $1 billion deal, I'm not going to do it on Zoom. I love Zoom. I've got good friends that work for Zoom in executive positions. I'm going to show up because there's a difference in the impact you make when you're in person and when you're remote. So right then and there, you lost 50% of the impact by being not there. Who's going to get hired? The person that weighed the effort to fly the 3,000 miles, put the Armani suit on, deliver a killer interview, or someone that's in their house that you can't feel. So for first, that's not going to work. But the second thing is, it's cheating. I interviewed somebody 2 weeks ago. On the interview, I asked him a question, and he said, hold on a second. I heard him typing in the computer, and he read me some nonsense thing, which I knew where he got it from. I said, I'm sorry, sir, the interview's over. He said, what? What did I say? I said, you are Googling an answer. And he looked like surprised, like I knew better. I said, I am not an idiot. I'd have to be retarded not to know this. I said, people rise to positions of power not because they're dumb, not because they don't know, and not because you can cheat them. They've already weeded through all these mistakes in their life. They rise to positions of power because they've done it. They've done it successfully. They've got relationships in the industry. They've got a degree of integrity, and they've got a competency. I said, that's why these people are in these positions. You cheated. You know what happens when you cheat on an exam at school? You get a 0 in the exam, and hopefully you fail the class. I said, I can't even interview you because you just lied to me. But I was just trying to give you the right answer. I said, it doesn't matter. The right answer would have been, I'm sorry, I've not had the opportunity to learn the technology yet, but I'm highly energetic, I'm highly enthusiastic, I'm highly passionate about technology. I know what I know, and I know what I don't know the answer to things quickly, and I'm willing to find the answers, and I'm willing to do what it takes, not lie to me. I have interviewed 5,000 people in my career. 4,950 people lied to me on these interviews. I used to be more polite about it. I'm on the paleo diet, have been for a decade, maybe 2, meaning I don't eat grains, dairy, or legumes. I eat lean meats and fish and vegetables and fruits. That's it. And nuts. I eat a lot of nuts. And of course, olive oil because I'm Greek. And twice per year, I'll have some whole wheat bread. But that's if I'm really being a wild man that day. See, that's that. So I had a box of cookies, Entenmann's cookies, because they were popular in the Philadelphia, New York metro. And I filled up a cookie jar that looked like Cookie Monster because I've always loved the Cookie Monster, even though I don't eat cookies. And every time somebody would lie to me, I used to feed them cookies. Because I didn't want to listen to a word they said. I figured they feed cookies. Looks like they had a good time. I don't have to tell my manager I kicked them all out for lying to me because it was me. I have no tolerance for nonsense. People know me. You can do almost anything to me, and I'm forgiving. The second you lie to me, it's over. I mean, it's over like that. So I used to just feed them cookies. But here's the thing. An employer can't hire you if they don't trust you. Now it's my own company. I don't feed people cookies anymore. I just say leave. But, I don't mean to do that. I want to be nice, but I can't hire a liar. And, these things are so bad. You can't fake something. If you fake it, it's fraud. Yeah. In some cases, if you fake it, you go to jail. On a job interview, you just don't get hired. But don't do things remote. If you look up and to the left, you're thinking. Neurolinguistic programming tells us that. But if your eyes are here, hold on. I'm going to look at my main. I know you're not. You're looking for something.
Hey, read across the screen right now. The screen that you're looking at. Read across the screen like you're reading text. Like
Get
you're reading.
Cloud hired with our 30%.
No. Look at the screen that you're looking at right now.
Okay.
And look and do your eyes like you're reading across the screen.
Okay. www.gocloudcareers.com and learn how we can help you succeed. Visit our website, www.gocloudcareers.com, and learn how to.
Even if you're looking at the same screen, you're not looking at me. You're looking away from me.
And you can see. Now, if I'm on the news, I'm going to be using a teleprompter, which most people don't have a $2,000 teleprompter in their house.
Right.
And they're going to have someone running the teleprompter for them. And trust me, I know how to use a teleprompter. You know how long it took? It took about $10,000 of media training for me to learn how to use a teleprompter. And I still don't use a teleprompter because it still looks artificial. But
something else, Mike, is when you were reading that off, you think about the influx, intonation of your words. Mm-hmm. Sounded like you were reading a script, and it seemed very impersonal. It seemed very automated, and it didn't inspire any passion. So that's one of the things that a hiring manager will pick up. It's like, I mean, there's no. It just sounded so flat, like you were not present, but yet you were reading off on something that you thought the hiring manager would want to hear. And we hear it. We understand what you're doing, and it's not going to win you any points.
Not going to win you any points at all.
Yeah. So this whole idea, and I didn't actually know that this was happening until it actually happened on an interview that we did, and it blew my mind. Like I saw it happening, and I was like, I was blown away. Like before I could even formulate the thought, like it took several seconds, if not 15 to 20 seconds, 30 seconds for me to fully wrap my head around that this individual was reading. He had just, because it's so obvious. You see the arm going to type, and then they look, and it just blew my mind. And Mike, as gracious as he is, just politely asked him, "Are you looking this up?" And I was just like, "There you go. That's nicer than I would have been. That's a lot nicer than I would have been." But it makes me think about online schooling.
Oh.
I was my freshman year of college in 2004 was when they were first rolling out. I think it was WebCT or Canvas or something. I can't remember, but it was when they were getting the first big rollout of the new versions of online classes and online tests. And it was about as ugly as AIM back in the 90s. But you could open a new browser. You could take your test and open a new browser and look up the answers and have 50 other people in the room with you, and it worked out great. But now they've gotten to the point to where it's complete, that your computer is completely locked down. You have to give permissions to the browser to lock down everything else except for that singular tab. You can't even go to another tab in the same window, let alone open another window, let alone open anything on your computer once you've started that test. It almost makes me wonder, because obviously virtual interviews are not going anywhere.
No,
they're only going to become more prevalent, especially for the middle tier jobs. The in-person interviews will still be there for the low level hourly jobs, and obviously the higher tier jobs. But I think the virtual interviews will be there for the middle for sure. It almost makes me wonder if somebody is going to introduce a platform comparable to Zoom or Google Meet where it can lock down everything and the user can't do anything. And they may already have. I don't know. But yeah, it just blew my mind when we saw that happen. I think that was just like last week or 2 weeks ago that we saw that.
And I was interviewing someone at work for us too, and I just literally stopped it right in and there. This was a training experience, so I asked the person, but yeah, it was like, no, but I'm seeing so much of that. Alonzo, could you imagine going on someplace and looking up, excuse me, I got a cue card. Hold on, here's the answer.
I say stop where you are.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
It wouldn't go well.
I had to think, like, what took me so long to realize that it was happening was I was trying to think about me in an interview, because I guess I did do a virtual interview before the pandemic, because the first interview was in South Carolina and I was in Mississippi. So for the first one, I wasn't, you're not going out there. You're going to do a virtual, but then I went out there in person for the second one. But it didn't even dawn on me at that time that was a possibility. Like, so when I saw this happening, I'm sitting here thinking, what the heck? Like, why would someone think that that's doable? Like, I just don't, I don't understand. And it kind of goes back to, I think Alonzo said it and Mike said it. If you're going to do that, like, what else are you going to do once you get in?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to put in the billable hours that you actually put in? Or are you going to put in 20% of the billable hours that you actually put in? Are you going to take the stapler at the end of the day?
Right.
I mean,
yeah, walking out the door with reams of paper under your armpits.
Right. I mean, it's just, I still that one just still blew my mind when I saw it happen. So yeah,
It's prevalent, and now the advice is being given: do this. You know, a friend of mine, Holly, also gets a lot of people FANG jobs, and she made a post about it the other day. She says, "I know you're being advised to go home and Google, but we can tell we're not stupid, we're not retarded." But seriously,
yeah. I mean, it all boils down to being prepared for the interview. I mean, if you feel the need to cheat in the middle of an interview like you would cheat in a biology test in junior year of high school, you're not prepared and you're not taking it seriously.
no.
And it's just.
But it's also.
So anyway, let's back away from the individual that's getting the advice and go back to the person that's giving the advice. If somebody is giving you the advice to lie, cheat, or steal, they could make it as pretty and sound as great as possible. But at the end of the day, if it's lying, cheating, or stealing, run.
Yeah.
Even if that person happens to have, you know, a 30-year successful career record and, you know, nice, beautiful cars and a great family and everything, if they're telling you to lie, cheat, and steal, run.
And here's how you can tell someone. If I asked Chris to punch my cat right now, and I would never ask that, Chris would say, "No, it's your cat, Cindy. I'll cook it. I'll cook for it." If I said, "Chris, go rob a bank," he'd say, "Mike, I quit." I mean, he wouldn't even have to think about it for any of these things because he's a good guy. And employers want people they can trust. You know, I've sold more products as an architect by saying, "Don't buy that." And they were like, "Huh? Well, then what should I do?" "You should do this." "Well, why can't I buy this? Your company told me that I should." "Well, you shouldn't buy this because it's going to impact this workflow in this way, and this way, which is going to have a negative impact on your business." "Wow, we never looked at it that way, Mike. What should we do?" "Well, if we tune this business process and we add this technology and we tune this, look at the revenue opportunities." "Wow. Now look at the productivity efficiency we can do by removing this." And "oh, wow." And then they buy it. But you can't sell something that doesn't work. You don't design a bad house. You don't design a bad car. And you don't lie on an interview. I promise you, it won't work. And even if you get past it, you'll get fired on your first day at the job when you get found out.
Yeah. And also consider, once you get fired, hiring managers and industry leaders, they talk.
Oh,
and they'll start swapping. "Well, I got a new employee. He seems or she seems to be okay. Well, what's their name? What's their background?" "My name, you know, Alonzo Coleman," or whatever. "Oh, no. Next thing you know, it'll start unraveling. They'll tell they'll talk about the lies and the things that you did to get your way into their company, and they'll start digging into your credentials and everything else." It just doesn't work, especially in this day and age where everything is recorded. You can find anything on the internet, your track record, everything else. So it's just so important. And I'm thinking like another thing about bad interview advice is not going in there without getting an understanding of what the company does and how you're going to be able to leverage your capabilities for that organization. Do not wing it. Do not assume that just because they deal in groceries or in medical supplies, that's going to be enough. How are you going to differentiate yourself from knowing just generalities about this organization without drilling down deep? I remember there was a couple of times where I disregarded usual information about, "Oh, well, just read the first couple of pages on or paragraphs on their website." I looked at their annual report to try to find some nuggets about how can I showcase that I'm putting in the effort to know intimately about this organization. So it's those couple of things that I believe that you got to stay on your toes. And circling back to lying about your background, another thing that we were touching on is that not only you're not going to get away with it, but you have given this person that you're communicating with, you're trying to take something from them while insulting their intelligence. You're trying to trick me. You think the hiring manager is stupid. They're not. They've seen it all and done it all. If there was a principal and you're the latest kid, latest freshman coming into high school trying to do pranks, you think they haven't seen it all? You think they haven't noticed if they got over one hurdle? Do you think that they got away with it at all? No, it's just ensuring that you have everything that you need competency wise.
All right, you're not going to sit very long.
Oh, there she is. Competency wise, just stay focused on the task. And if that job that you're going for is important for you or important to you, understanding what it could do for your life, you're going to make every effort necessary without having to lie. Take care of your business.
Keep covering this. I have to take Princess Cindy outside because she's let me know by chewing through every wire that I have on me.
Oh, man.
Go, and she's making that eek sound.
Oh, she's letting you know, run it, Dad.
Well,
keep talking about this, and then we got another good one.
Yeah, well, we'll just go back to story time with Chris. And Alonzo was talking about, following you. What was I saying? So there was a it's not related to lying on the interview per se, but when I was working in Mississippi, we hired a general manager for a hotel that was from Louisiana. And when they first started with us, they lived in one of our hotels for a few weeks while they got settled and relocated to the area. I think it was the third or fourth day, the Louisiana State Police and the Sheriff's Department from the county where he previously was, showed up at the hotel to arrest him.
Whoa!
For embezzlement from the previous company. So anyway, long story short, very short.
Very short.
Your past will follow you. They tracked him down, and just wanted to your past
How
will follow you.
embarrassing is that you do the walk of shame with your hands behind your back.
That's not a good one, being escorted out by security.
No.
So, somebody just literally asked the question. I want to keep going with the time cut, but the question came in from LinkedIn. And, the question is, I've been told to get 60 certifications. I got all these 60 certifications. I've been told to fake my stuff on my resume. How am I going to get hired when I have new background? Well, there's two things: competency and building your brand. If you have a CCIE on paper, you look competent until proven otherwise. Right. And you probably are. If you're a cloud architect with an AWS certified solution architect professional and a Cisco certified network professional, on paper, you're still not competent, but you look good, right? And you're going to get that interview. So instead of getting 40 worthless associate certifications, and here's what an employer thinks of an associate certification: almost ready to do the job, but not really. So the advice of getting 4 of them, those are the kind of things that we're actually talking about, things like that. And kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So if you write a blog, that could show your competency. If you give a presentation, that can show your competency. It's all about building competency. For the people that are asking the certifications, get 2, but only professionals, not associates or expert ones. They matter. But still, they don't teach you competency. But, for my team that's asking this question that they just got from LinkedIn, that's how you respond to it. Build your brand, write some documents, develop expertise, volunteer on a project, get experience, help companies that are trying to get there and help them do it. Small businesses, but build your name and get some experiences. And these are the kind of things that really, really matter. So realistically speaking, those are what you kind of need. Someone did make a point. I'm not Mr. Politically Correct on how I say things intentionally. I like to focus on truth. I don't like to use euphemisms. I like to focus on things. I've had patients that had everything from mental disabilities to learning disabilities, and we can all achieve amazing things in life. But, For the person that made the comment, yes, you are right, but my focus is not on political correctness. It's getting people hired, getting people promoted, and focusing on how do we truly help those that really need help. That's my world. So there is that. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. I care about getting the world hired. That's all I care about. I care about getting the world to earn more. I didn't mean anything if I used the term retarded versus learning disabled. You know, you can call me any one of the names you want. I don't really care about. As long as I get you caught hired, that's what I care about. So let's get back to the actual content over here, because these are the things that really, really matter to me. Getting you hired. So let's talk about other mistakes that I see constantly. I will tell you this, that every person I interview, usually they're respectful to me because I'm the decision maker, right? Do you know they're often not respectful to, which is a dead termination of the interview for me? My receptionist, the secretary. Every interview, if I like someone, you know the next thing that I do? I literally speaking, ask the receptionist, how was this person to you? How was this person to everybody else in the office? I refuse to hire someone that's not nice to the waiter or waitress, the house cleaner, the receptionist. And if somebody's good, I take them to lunch. I take them to lunch for a few reasons. I want to see who they are. Here's some advice. Don't order a hamburger on a business lunch. Order something where you're forced to use a fork and a knife and show your table manners. 2, do not put salt and pepper on your food before you've tried it yet. Here's why. Every day, and I can usually tell the difference between someone that's been an engineer for a while and someone that's been an architect, and we need both. If I'm describing a situation, many of the engineers, they've solved it before they even understood the problem. My architects ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. Many of us in a job interview, if you put salt or pepper on your food without tasting the food, the interview's over. And here's why. You've already made an opinion without access to the facts and the information. Can I hire someone that already made a decision without knowledge? Of course I can. While we're at it, you know what a lot of people do in these interviews? They walk somebody to their car. Do you know why they walk them to the car? They want to see if the car's clean. Is it neat? Is it organized? Now, it can be this old beaten up car, or it could be a brand new S-Series, S-Class Mercedes. It doesn't matter, but it should be clean and at least organized. No, I'm not organized. And I work 1 million hours a week. You get in my SUV and you know what it's going to look like? Like I was going to the beach, going to the pool, going to the yoga studio. There's dirty yoga clothes in there that I forgot to take out. That's just me. But I'm not applying for a job. But if I went on an interview, washed, waxed, vacuumed, nothing in my car. You ever walk somebody in the hotel industry? You ever walk somebody to their car, Chris?
No, because there's you don't want to see some things. So
okay, there is. I know
the hotel industry is a completely different.
I know a general manager at the Ritz-Carlton that said I always walk people to their cars because I want to see what it looks like to see how they're going to care for my hotel. That's
why it's a different caliber of hotel than what I was. If I was in a full service luxury brand, yes, but limited service, middle of the road, I did not take that opportunity. Now, I did pay attention to how they presented themselves, which is an extension. I mean, the car is basically an extension of that same principle, because the car is a representation of you. So,
absolutely.
But there's something that Alonzo mentioned a few minutes ago about basically it boiled down to being prepared, researching the company.
Yep.
You know, don't just. It's like if I'm going to research Go Cloud Careers, I'm not going to read the description of this video and be done with it.
No.
Like that. So making sure that you actually, Alonzo mentioned it, and I'm going to bring him back in to talk about it, but actually researching the company.
Oh.
Actually researching the people that you're talking to. You know, most cases, you will have some idea of who you're interviewing with. Maybe not on the first one, but you'll know on the second interview, the follow-up interview. You'll 90% of the time know who you're going to be interviewing with. So take that opportunity to prepare not just for the company, but for the individual. And Alonzo had, shared ideas, but about checking their reports, their filings and everything like that, but also their social media.
Yeah.
Like companies love to talk about themselves. And now in the day of social media, they can talk about themselves literally 24/7 to millions of people that'll listen. So they're going to be putting everything out there. And it's not just the companies, it's the people at the companies will be putting stuff out there. We talk about building your brand. The people that you're interviewing with do literally the exact same thing. They build their brand and use that to your advantage when you're interviewing with people. But Alonzo, did you want to talk any more about that, actually preparing for an interview and not just showing up? And because I mean, it's nice to show up and be dressed properly and have your car clean and have your resume with you, but it's another thing to be prepared.
I couldn't have said it better, Chris. I'm thinking Mike, the team, Mike posted about doing some reconnaissance for your hiring interview, and much like there's a special group of individuals in both the Marines and the Army. There is a special operations force called Long Range Reconnaissance, and there's also a recon regiment from the Marines. Their job is to gather intelligence in austere environments, and I'm talking about long and far away lands by foot, gathering intelligence. And the relationship here is that when you are going for the job you want, the job that's going to change your life, the job with the 6-figure salary, the job that can potentially provide you with all the options that you only dreamed about, wouldn't it behoove you to make sure that you have everything lined up in preparation for that particular day that could very well change your life? So I'm thinking that before you even get there, somehow find out who the hiring manager is, what are their likes, what are their dislikes, what are the relationships that you can equate and add in as extra fuel, I would say, for the conversation about how you can relate to them, how you're able to provide both a professional and personal connection between them, so that you can not only show that you have done your homework, you can also disarm the hiring manager, because right off the rip, you never know if they've already had a bad day or they had a series of unqualified or, quite bluntly, lying candidates, and they probably might even be in a negative disposition. So you're going to want to come in there full bear, making sure that you know who that person is. But also it's a focus on understanding what the organization does, specifically what the organization you're going to be working with or the department you're going to be working in, what have they done in the past, present, or future? The people that you're going to be working with, have they done any TED Talks or any type of presentations that you can relate to, considering, or rather relate to with your particular position that you're going for, how you'll be able to leverage that knowledge and make it beneficial and couple it with your experience to enhance the department and organization as a whole. There's lots of different ways for you to do it, but the first thing you have to do is do your due diligence and research the company, the department, the hiring manager, how you're going to be able to leverage your capabilities, some ideas that you can possibly add to the discussion on this is what I would do if I was a part of your organization. So outside of looking the part, you have to sound the part. You have to have the presence. Leave your phone in the car. Don't ask, things that you take for granted about the job, especially in terms of work-life balance. Don't ask that. Don't go in there with a series of demands in a position that you have nothing to do, which I think is quite bluntly, it's stupid. You come to a place essentially with your hat in your hand, trying to sell your brand, your capability, your experience out of all these other people. And the first thing that comes out of your mouth is, what can you give me? Not smart. I think you're going to make sure that you are able to sway them with your knowledge, sway them with your capability, with your personality, with your presentation skills, and couple all that in a nice sonnet of conversation, if you will, so that you are going to be memorable in everything that you do from start to finish. So once the interview process is over, look that person in the eye, shake their hands firmly, tell them it was a pleasure meeting you. The moment that you get out that door, give yourself an hour max, give them an email saying it was a pleasure conversing with you. I'd really be interested in, if you could share the next steps. Thank you so much for your time and effort, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Boom. Now, ensuring that you have all these things ready and you're able to respond to the questions as well as offer a lot of your own is imperative. So I really would recommend that you go in there, you're ready. Not only are you prepared to play the game, you're going to be prepared to win the game. And once you're mentally prepared for that, then you're going to have a real increased chance of success for the outcome that you want for the position.
And I'm going to take it from, yeah, exactly. Boom. And I want to hit how important this is. And Alonzo and I co-authored an article we're going to share recently, and I also made a 30-minute or so video. I have never been on a tech interview and not gotten the job, but I spend about 100 hours of preparation for every single job. So I've interviewed 5 companies and I've gotten all 5 jobs. Now, the question was asked in the chat box, and how do you know? What do you Google? So let's say you wanted to work at Go Cloud Careers, Jeremy. Now, you'd Google it. What would you find out? Would you find out we're trying to sell you 40 or 50 certifications that are worthless and irrelevant? No, we care about getting you hired. You might see videos of our students that got hired. You might research me. Do you think I'm tolerant of lies, given the posts that I make? No. So you'd know if you bluff to me, interview's over. Do you think I'm kind of hardcore about being a master at your field and being so good and competent that the world comes to you? Or do you think I want a jack of all trades and a master of none? Jack of all trades and a master of none can go work at some low-performing company and not succeed in life. I want Navy SEALs. I want Israeli commandos. I want Force Recon Marines. I want people that are going to crush it and are experts at their job. Now I care that my people play together. Is that obvious? Yeah. Now, if you Google me, you'd see at least 50 magazine articles written about me in the last year. What are they talking about? How to be an expert, how to optimize your career, how to interview, how to maximize your salary. Is it all focused on the same thing? You could look that up. Now, you could look at my YouTube videos and see what I'm talking about. You could look at my LinkedIn posts. How much intel could you get to cyberstalk me? A whole lot. A whole lot. And if I was interviewing with me or anybody, I'd research the living daylights out of them. I'd turn into a cyber stalker. Heck, if I had friends that worked for the company, I'd be asking them to get background information. I mean,
if you think about it, literally just you don't even have to go back that far. If you were to look at Mike's social media and you just go back 1 week, let me, off the top of my head, he likes cats. He doesn't want you to earn a lot of certifications. He wants you to get straight to the point and learn the job you're going to do. Boom. Like there's just in the past week, like not even, that's just casual search of his most recent post. So right there, you can establish rapport by talking about cats and about, working hard, working to get straight to the point and not beat around the bush in any way, shape, or form, in any scenario. Just get straight to the point, talking about how important it is to get to the point of the problem, to solve the problem, or anything. And that's just from the link the post that he made today. That I need to put the link to that in the chat box so that people see the post that you made today. But anyway, sorry, I saw that opportunity. I'm like, wait, he can build rapport, or she can build rapport just by looking at those two
instantly.
Yeah.
Instantly. Plus, once you learn how to read body language, so the key is you get all the intel, recon. And when you've got the recon, Make sure your skills are good. Then prep for all the things that the person cares about. Prep for all the things the company cares about. Prep for ways to make the company more successful. Prep for ways to show that you are a solution to the hiring manager's needs and the company's manager. Recon. SEALs don't go on a mission without planning it ahead of time. Neither are master thieves. A master thief that gets away with it plans it. I watch a lot of thief movies. They case the joint. They get out there. They take photos. Who gets arrested?
You have a cat. You got to figure out how the cat thinks.
Yeah, exactly. My cat's always stealing stuff of mine. I can never find it. But seriously, if you're doing this, who gets caught? Hey, Alonzo, let's go stick up a 7-Eleven with cameras in it. We're going to be in jail by the end of the day. Now let's plan a mission. Let's see when the guards are there. Let's see where the guards are not there. Let's see where the cameras are. Let's see what the security.
Hey, I do not need the YouTube police coming. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Stop talking about. You're not Danny Ocean here, okay?
All right, but I love that Ocean's 11 movie. But that's the key. I'd be planning. I don't want to be in jail. And, I don't want to get not hired. I want to get hired. I want to win. You don't win without preparation. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail.
So Jeremy has a couple of good questions back to back. And I wasn't going to bring questions in until later, but these are great questions back to back.
That's why I addressed it.
This is a very not sticky, but intricate topic that we're talking about. Is about the recon. So Jeremy asked, I'm going to put all three of them up back to back. Can you provide real examples of what you mean in regards to researching? What should we be looking for?
Okay.
What is the result we're trying to achieve? We kind of talked about that already. For example, what exactly did Delonzo do with the company financials? And then he kind of figured it out by the time he got to the next one. He said, are you researching the company to understand what solutions you can express during an interview? Are you researching the hiring managers to gauge their personality and type of candidate they need? All of that. So I'm going to address my perspective of the financials. So obviously you're only going to get these if it's a publicly traded company. Yeah. And you're not going to get their P&Ls, but you'll get pretty detailed information. But if you look at quarterly and annual documents, you'll be able to see trends on where they're allocating resources, what their revenues have been in different departments or different products. Like just use an Apple, for example. They'll tell you which product was better than this product, and that product did better than this product, and it did better than last year versus the year before. Mm-hmm. And so you can see where their pain points are, and you can be aware of their pain points or their opportunities. But you can also see where they're just, again, by looking over a period of time, you can see, okay, over the course of the past 5 years, marketing has continued to go down as far as the amount of resources that they're allocating. What's that trend? Why is that happening? And you dig deeper into the resources and you figure out, and you can figure that out. But you take the information from the financials and then you go and search Google News.
Yeah.
Or some other news aggregator. And you have to piece the information together. Now, depending on the level of the position that you're going for, you may not go too deep, but having at least a high level understanding of how that company's financials have been more than just the past year, and what their projections are moving forward will give you an idea of what the playing field is like. Because if you don't know what the playing field's like, if you don't know who your opponent is or who your allies are, then you're not going to do well. To use your war analogies there, Mike. But that's my input from like why someone would look into the financials and what information you would gain from that. Because you don't just stop at the financials. The financials is a starting point for you to just pull and go look and dig deeper. At least that's my perspective.
Yeah, and sometimes it's obvious. Amazon publishes 16 leadership principles.
Yeah.
They want to know that you fit into that. It's like obvious, hanging on the wall. Hey, we want this, we want this, we want this.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not. But let's look at it seriously. if you do recon, if you did recon on me, you find out that I'm a martial artist, right? Or Alonzo, you'd find out the same thing. You find out that I'm pretty hardcore, right? You'd find out that I like cats, right? You found out that I worked for Cisco for nearly a decade, right? You find out that I used to practice internal medicine. So these are just some of the things. Now, if you looked a little deeper, you'd look at my tabby cat, right? And you'd say, my cat's Cindy. And, you know, you collect this information. Then you'd collect what the company does. You'd see what my employees do. Then when you have this and you've done all this recon, now you can walk into the office. Now you see this picture hanging on the wall when you're in the office. What does this tell you? Chris, what does this tell you?
You love your cat.
I love my cat. You know, it's not my birthday anymore. And two of my students at least made this for me. I know Abigail and Tracy's fingerprints are all over this. Do you think I'm sentimental that I keep this on my desk, even though my birthday is a month old? Do you think I care about my students that did this to me? You'd see this literally sitting. It's on my desk. So when you see things, it's going to give you access to information. When you walk in my room, you're going to find also that I drink a lot of water, right? So you could talk about hydration being important to me.
I'm just going to put this out there for everybody. This is like an introduction to our tech interview mastery program.
Yes.
I'm realizing this the more we talk. It's
I didn't even think of it. You're right.
Yeah, it's like, oh God, we're giving away too much of our product.
Hey, wait, Turkish apricot sitting on the floor. Maybe Mike likes fruit. I mean, there's so much intel that you can gather. You gather ahead of time, and then you use that to put what you see in context. And when you see this in the room, right then and there, you say, "Oh my God, do you have a cat?" Yes, I have a cat too. I have a Maine Coon cat. It's a beautiful cat. I really love my cat. Are you infatuated with your cat too? Yeah, I am. Instantly, we're friends. Yep. Now you got there. Hey, Alonzo, you look pretty big. You work out? Yeah, I work out. I do too. Did I tell you I was a strength and conditioning specialist and a yoga instructor? Now we got something. What you're looking for is you're looking to create a connection. Yep. When you have rapport, everything changes. You know, when I had to go meet somebody that was hit in a car accident on the ambulance, that's got bleeding coming out of their neck, and I'm not joking, a broken leg, and they see and I'm skinny now because I don't like lift weights like I used to because I can't. I just do yoga. When you see a 6'2", 240-some pound guy walking towards you and you're broken, it's a little intimidating right now. So I learned how to be softer and soften it up. But the point is you got to be there and just go out there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about why you don't ask for the salary up front and why that is the kiss of death. Now, I want to talk about, reality. The reality is a company can pay you whatever the heck they feel like it. I had a student the other day get a cloud architect job. He has no tech background. He's 25 years old, and he got $20,000 more than the company was willing to pay for the position because he demanded it, and they needed him. Here's the thing. I one time had a job called a customer solutions manager. You know what that was? It was a dumping ground for anybody from a manager to director so they could pay me what they wanted to because it didn't matter. There's always a way. But if you ask your salary ahead of time, I'm not going to talk to you. You're expensive. But here's the thing. If someone can bring in more value, they might be cheap to you. But you don't know what to pay them until you interview them. It's not like a job working at Walmart and where you're the cashier where everybody gets paid the same. The value that you bring to the company, the amount of revenue you bring, the amount of people's jobs that you can do yourself will determine how much they can pay you. And I've been on job interviews and gotten better jobs on 2 of the 5 jobs I ever took.
Yep.
And in many cases, and one of them, the position paid close to 6 figures more than the job was paying for anybody else. Now they said, look, we realize you're a special case. We're going to have to create a special position for you. But we're going to do one. Would you wait the 2 or 3 weeks while we go through the HR hurdles to make the job for you? Now they asked me what I wanted ahead of time. And I said, why don't we have a discussion, make sure we're a good fit? Do not make demands ahead of time. I see people advising, especially engineers and admin people. I won't talk to you until you tell me how much you're going to pay me. Well, guess what? I won't. If you want to know how much I'm going to pay you before the interview, I won't even interview because you're already making demands of me and I don't know what your quality is.
Right.
How can you know what to pay you if I don't know what you can do?
Exactly.
Go buy a house that you've never seen before. Here, I'm going to pay $800,000 for something that I don't even know what it is. It's crazy. But, as soon as you do that, it will knock you out of the interviews, and it will pigeonhole you into a lower salary if you're good.
Right.
So don't do that. Now, here's the next kiss of death. I don't see it happening everywhere, but I'm seeing it happen constantly in America. People go in an interview and they ask, "What's the work-life balance?" The work-life balance is you're fired and not hired. What do you mean?
You're basically screaming, "I'm lazy." So it's like you're. What's the work-life balance as opposed to what? I'm like, are you here to? To me, when you tell me that, I know that you're not a high producer. You're not going to come in on time. You're going to leave early. You're saying a whole lot of different things to me. You're not going to be a team player. You're not going to give me quality work. You're going to burn up all of your vacation time, especially during critical times where we need your specific expertise the most. So it's like you think you can't come into that situation where you're making demands or you're asking something of me, because it's a partnership. It's a trade. I'm going to give you my skill set and you're going to compensate me for it. But if you're telling me what you want from me without giving me something of equal or greater value to justify why I should spend any money on you, let alone give you this type of salary, what type of message are you sending for your brand and yourself? So it's imperative that you don't ask for what they can give you, but rather showcase the value of what they stand to lose if they don't pick you.
Exactly.
You reverse that psychology for them to say, I don't want this person leaving out the door without me giving them or them giving me a confirmation they want to work. Or you can get a pat on the buns, get a cookie from Mike, and go about your business thinking that it's okay when in fact you've been shooed out the door and disregarded as any type of option.
Yeah, I think so. I do want to say this. So there are some people where that is their compensation.
Yeah.
Like that's what they desire. They desire this. They desire that over the salary. They desire the flexibility or the balance or anything. There are companies whose cultures are so obvious that that's what they care about as well.
Yeah.
So if that's what if the work-life balance or the personal trade-off, those types of things, if that's what your desire is or your passion is, find the companies that align with that desire and that passion. Do not try to be a square peg in a round hole.
Yes.
Right.
But for the majority of businesses, that's not going to be the starting point.
No.
Or even the first interview or second interview discussion. And again, just going back, I know that there are people they're in a position in life, or that they have built their life around this that this philosophy, that this is more important to them than the compensation. So if that's the case, again, make sure that the companies that you're targeting align with what your goals are.
Yeah, I agree. Weren't there there was this tech company where they actually had nap time?
There's
and they had the actual you could recline your seat and lay back and
the
desk.
But those companies that bring in food and have the beanbags expect you to work 18 hours a day. They're just saying, "Here, we brought you in sushi."
Yeah, but at the same time, so anyway, so there's entire pockets of industries out there where you can find those things that match. But again, going back to the 90% of the, and I'm just using an arbitrary number here, 90%. The majority of opportunities, the majority of companies, it's a negotiation. You need to show your worth before you can get something from a company that's valued at $600 billion.
Exactly.
That company is valued at $600 billion. They don't need to show their worth. They don't need to show what they can bring to the table. It's upon you. It's upon me. It's upon us to whoever's interviewing for the job. It's upon you to show what you bring to the table and why, when you do get to that point in the discussion, why it should be a part of the discussion.
Completely agree. And if you're concerned about work-life balance, I'm going to tell you right now, you can't get any elite job. You can work at McDonald's serving food. You can be a cashier. You could do help desk. You could be a nursing assistant. But all elite jobs care, are you there when they need them?
Yep.
And there are some tech companies that are concerned about work-life balance. They pay the least. Everybody's paid the same. If you're a good employee or a bad employee, you're all paid the same. And here's what happens. The good employees get tired of it and they get sick of it. And they all go to some company and they win. And what's left is the company has a bunch of low performers and they don't do very well. So if you care about your career, focus on work-life harmony. Find something you love. Be great at what you love and make your work fun.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we've got a follow-up video coming out Thursday about work-life harmony.
There you go. Video on work-life harmony. I wonder where that came from because it's so critical. Work-life balance is, I hate my job, so I'm going to do it for 8 hours, and then I'm going to be home and miserable, and hopefully I don't get psychiatric issues because there's that. Right. Mental health, I'm going to tell you right now, stress is not a problem. Wait, what? Stress is not a problem. Zebras don't get ulcers, and they're being chased by lions all day long. Zebras don't get ulcers. Stress is not the problem. Here's the problem, how you manage that stress.
Right.
You can put two people in combat. Person one gets home and says, this is the best time I've ever had in my life. Somebody else has PTSD. How they manage the stress is there. I've been through stress inoculation training. I mean, you think I'm kidding? Where they put it in a dark room, they play loud noises, they stab you with stun guns, you cover up and people punch you for hours straight just to make you tough. Some people get out of it and say, wow, look what I learned today.
Right.
Other people in 5 minutes scream, stop. There's no right or wrong answer, but if you want an elite career, it's not about work-life balance, it's about work-life harmony.
Yeah. Mike, I have a question. Yeah. What do you think about while you're in an interview and someone asks you how quickly can you get promoted to go into a new department?
Ooh, the interviews. In fact, I remember being at Cisco, we interviewed somebody, and it was a big interview. I interviewed someone, the engineers on my team interviewed someone, and the guy's on the interview, and he says, I don't really want this job. I want to be a systems engineering manager, so I'm using this as a stepping stone. And I remember saying to the person, well, thank you so much for coming in. This position is for a systems engineer, not a manager. We're concerned about your ability to be happy doing this job. I don't think you'll be happy here.
Wow. I don't know. So I think there's it depends on the position. So if it's a position that's intended to be a starting point, and it's
entry-level position.
If it's listed as an associate, it's obvious that is our junior or whatever, or I don't know how the levels go, level 1, 2, 3. I don't know what, but if it's obvious that it's a starter, that's an okay question. But if somebody's interviewing for a cloud architect job or a food and beverage manager job at a hotel, that's not an appropriate question to ask, because the intention is that you're going to be in that position for a period of time that will benefit the company. Now, if the opportunity presents itself, then that's a different story. And but yeah, what? So, Mike, what? When I get asked that question for the positions that it's not relevant to, I agree with you that ends it. That's
it's over.
Have a good day.
Now, if you say, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And somebody says, look, I see myself being excellent in this role for a good 3 years. And I hope to be promoted in this company so I can grow and be a leader and make the company better. Now, that's motivation. We're looking for that. But I'm not looking for, hey, I want this. I'm looking for somebody that truly cares to be there. I want somebody that wants to be there, because what do we want? We want someone that is competent enough to do the job, someone that we can trust, someone that knows what they know and knows what they know. Energy, enthusiasm, and passion, everybody. That's what we're looking for. Your emotional intelligence, how hard you're willing to work, will you go above and beyond, and how much of a team player are you? That's what every manager dreams about. I ask them every day, and they all tell me the same thing. I've asked thousands of managers. That's what they want. Now, they don't care about your certification. In fact, I usually hear some 4-letter words when I speak to hiring managers and say, I don't care about this, blah, 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 certification. I'm tired of dealing with paper certified people that don't know anything. I hear that every day. But what I don't hear is, it's give me somebody good. Now, I've got to tell you something else that I wouldn't think that it would occur. I've seen people do it on LinkedIn. I've seen people do it on interviews. Don't bash your previous employer.
And you will get asked a question to allow you that opportunity to do it.
Yeah, to see. It's bait to see if you're going to do it. Why are you leaving your current employer? Oh, I hate my managers. Oh my God, the interview's over.
Yeah.
Or even worse, going on TikTok and complaining.
Oh yeah, that quiet quitting stuff. All these people that are going on TikTok and complaining. I want to make it
that
clear.
Is the worst.
You have just anybody that does that has destroyed their career forever, unless you take it down. Every hiring manager is going to go search your social media profile.
Yeah.
If you bashed your employee, if you've made laziness, if you've talked about how you're faking your day, your career is over. I mean, it's over.
Yeah. So back to the bashing. That you will be given the opportunity in an interview.
You will
to do it, and so many people
do it.
And it is I used to make that the last, like towards the end when I first started doing interviews. But once I started to see that people would do that, I moved that to the front, because I'm like, I'm just going to go ahead and figure it out now. Because if people are going to do it, I'm not doing an entire interview and then finding out that they're going to do that. So that once I started doing interviews, I moved that after a while. I moved that question to the first or second or third question. I can't remember.
Yeah,
because that is a very telling. The way that you handle that question is very telling for how you're going to be in your role.
mm-hmm.
And I recommend you don't bash anywhere, public, private, ever. I recommend that wherever you go, you say good, positive things about everybody you've ever worked with. And here's the reason why. People talk.
Yeah.
And who do you like? Do you like? Nobody wants the negative Nelly.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't.
Another thing that they're going to say is that, okay, if he's or she is bashing them, what are they going to say about me on the job? How are they going to create toxicity in the environment? How are they going to keep what are they going to say about teammates, their own personal behavior? I mean, you're your own brand, so it will come back to bite you if you don't know how to properly present and not. You can constructively say, well, I wanted a better challenge, or my manager really saw the positive in me and I decided to take them on and accept that challenge to move forward in a different career. But if you're going to say they were a nitpicker or they were this or they were that, it shows that you're probably hard to deal with. You probably don't accept responsibility for the things that you're contributory to. You're a toxic individual. How is this going to work with the synergy of the present group? Is it going to cost me more money by this person gossiping and sitting on the side, complaining about what they don't like about the job? All these things will start snowballing into the hiring manager's mind and it creates more of a reason why you are not a good fit.
Yeah. And the other thing that goes hand in hand with this, because now we're talking about a specific question. So you've got why are you leaving your current employer, or why did you leave, whichever case, whatever version of it. And then you've got the other opportunity of tell me about a difficult experience or a difficult situation, or tell me about a time when you didn't get along with a colleague, or where you didn't agree with a decision that your superior made. You know, these are all opportunities for you to pass with flying colors or fall flat on your face.
Yeah.
And what I see happening just as much as people bashing. So in addition to bashing, when these questions come up, is also the opportunity to not take responsibility. There are bad situations. There are difficult situations. And if you talk about them, but talk about your responsibility in them, you don't have to go into all the nitty gritty details, but you point blank say, yes, there was this difficult situation. And this is, afterwards, I see where I blah, 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 blah. You know, you talk about you don't talk about the other people.
Right.
And that when you're answering that question. But so many people go down the path of bashing the other people or bashing the company or bashing the situation. Because you can't get away from not answering that question. So when you answer those questions, you talk about yourself and what the good that came out of it, not the bad that caused it.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I see happening just as much as the bashing is that people will make up stories and experiences to be able to talk about these.
That is,
and it goes right along with making up LLCs and faking your jobs and your resume. Is if you make up a story for an interview, I see Alonzo smiling, but I've had it. I've
had it too.
Like I've had people just make up
spin a yarn.
It's so clear that it's either too perfect, like they've got it just right, or they're literally making it up on the spot. And it's clear. You can read people. Hiring managers can read people and can tell when somebody's BSing them.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're going to make up a story for that question, it's just,
yeah.
It goes back to what are you going to do when you're hired? If you're going to make up a story tell me about a difficult situation, or tell me about a situation where you solved a problem, don't make up stories. If you've only solved a small problem, talk about how you solved that small problem, no matter how small it is. The time clock was broken. I fixed it. Okay, tell me how you fixed it.
Yeah.
Why'd you fix it? What made you feel like you needed to fix the time clock? Was it your responsibility? No? Okay, well, that shows that you went above and beyond. Just...
You know what? It takes me to a related topic, is when you are in that interview, do not talk about gossip that you heard about the department.
Never.
Yeah.
Do not come with any he says, she says nonsense about what anyone that you thought worked there, or 2 and 3 first person information, because you don't know what the relationship was with that, whether it's a friend of a friend or whatever. You don't know what their brand was in that company. You don't want to associate yourself with someone that you don't know, that they could be an underperformer, a toxic person, whatever. So if you're going to do anything, if you need to share some facts, do the recon first, or ask if it's relatable to your position, but frame certain questions in a way that you are able to provide a solution for, or you're able to meet that challenge that they may offer as a means of you stepping in and saying, I can handle this, or this can be solved through teamwork or something. But overall, I was just thinking about a lot of he says, he says, she says nonsense, and how you're going to kill your opportunity before it starts through hearsay and conjecture.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so much of the made up, and it's so obvious is the problem. I mean, a person's a manager for a reason. We've got a leadership course, the Tech Career Accelerator program, and I spend so much time in that course teaching people how to read people and read the room. Because here's the reason why: when you're an executive, and when you go from cloud architect to distinguished architect, when you go from cloud architect to chief technology officer, it's all about your business acumen and your leadership skills. It goes to the point where at some point your tech skills almost become irrelevant, and it's all about your people management and your processes management and your optimization. And earlier in your career, it's more technical, but when it gets to these things, it's all about reading the room. I mean, I'd be constantly in boardrooms with other executives, and they're like, Mike, what do you see? And because, when you get to the executives, we can hide our facial expressions relatively well. So it's looking for microsystem, like something like that. You're looking for such weird little things. Does somebody cross their feet? Do they open their feet? Which direction are their feet pointing? Of course, you're not going to get that if you interview over the internet either, which is why.
That's what I was about to say. This is why you want to interview in person.
Yeah.
I mean, when you interview in person and you're in that room, you see everything. You know what to say, how to change your topic, theme points at the door. Okay, leaning. You can see these micro expressions so clearly, and you'll perceive them differently than you do remotely. And it gives you intel. It gives you knowledge. Knowledge is power. Information is power.
Interviewing in person has the tendency to let their guard down.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, which is good for you as a candidate, but you don't let your guard down.
No.
You're in enemy territory.
It's a test of wills, I think. It's being able to match their energy with yours and ultimately control it in your favor so that they walk away with something memorable about who you are and how you can be beneficial. Because I try to walk away from anyone with them understanding that they're going to be more valuable with my presence than without, because you want to add that value. You want, like you said, it's a facet of being the Energizer Bunny and being able to provide and leave people with a sense of strength, positivity, happiness. And over time, people start to equate that with your presence. So being able to share, and if you have a negative day, try to minimize it so that it doesn't spill over into the productivity or creates issues within the organization. Everybody has bad days. Life happens. Something could have happened that unfortunately you're not able to contain, but it's always in your power to be able to decide how it manifests on the workplace. You're sad, you have to have an open door policy with your boss, and you're saying, I'm not feeling very good. May I speak with you? This is what's been on my mind. Try to apprehend those feelings. Have a conversation with your manager if you can. If not, try to find a way to keep those in check. Take a day off, take a couple of hours off, ask for an extended lunch so that your personal life doesn't interfere. And I know this is not focused, this is not really relatable to answering the wrong questions. However, I think that you presenting and positioning yourself in strength in an in-person interview, or even if it's a remote one, I think it's really important that you show who you are and that they are worse off without you. I mean, it may sound arrogant, but I think that it's confident because it's how you position yourself with humility. Mm-hmm. You can be powerful and be humble. You can use your meekness, but also position it and saying, I know what I'm capable of, and what I want to do is I want to fortify the organization and strengthen it with the know-how that I have, with what I, and add it to the collective strength of this organization and department. Frame it that way in different ways. And it's another another facet on how you can come out on top with that interview.
And if you go to the interview and you wow them,
Yeah.
they won't let you leave
No.
because they need you in one show. I'll give you an example. I interviewed with zero experience for WorldCom. I had a job offer on that interview. 6 months later, I interviewed for the largest market maker on the NASDAQ. Before I left, I had an offer.
Yeah.
I didn't love that job, even though it paid me more than I can imagine or more than I could spend. So after that, I went and worked for Comcast for 6 months. I had an offer on the spot from them too. Now, I hated that job. So I went to a company called Riverstone Networks, which is now Nokia. I interviewed with them. And by the time the plane landed on my way back from the interview, I had an offer, which I declined because they wanted me to take the red eyes. And I said, I can't take red eyes. I need to sleep during the night. And then they told me I didn't have to work red eyes. And when I interviewed at Cisco after that, I will tell you that I interviewed on the first day and they said, can you be back tomorrow? And I said, for what? They said, we know you're leaving for Dubai. So can you meet with us tomorrow for breakfast and meet with the executives? I had a job. They told me they were going to make me an offer before I left there. Now, I didn't get the paperwork for 2 weeks. Now, when I left that sales engineering role and took an enterprise architect role, I actually had 16 interviews in the same company and traveled almost 60,000 miles to interview with all the people for a company that I already worked at because I had to prove that I wasn't an engineer. Now, proving that you're not an engineer when you want a good architect job is huge. I had to change the way I talked, walk, dress. I mean, I had to basically show them that I was a cat versus a dog because engineers and architects' jobs are so different. But yeah, I had to go to 16 interviews. And here's what the interviews were like. No, I'm not an engineer. I have business acumen. I've got leadership skills. I got sales skills. No, I'm not going to talk about the tech. I have CXO relevancy. And I had to defend myself like with viciousness, showing them that I was a leader and not an engineer. And that's the saddest thing in the world because you'd think all that engineering would be helpful, but the management doesn't want it. They want an executive and the architect and a techie and the engineer, and you can't be both. And it's all about your brand. Build the right brand. Apple's got a brand, right? We all know what it is. BMW has a brand. It's a driver's car. Mercedes has a brand. It's a car that lasts forever. And you can turn it into a taxi, and 600,000 kilometers later, it's still a taxi, still driving. That's their brand. Build the brand for your career. And then, Chris, I'll let you, I'm sure there's questions that I haven't even looked at right now.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of questions to get to. So give me just a second.
Let's answer people's questions. And sure, we can ask, if people have questions, we can answer some. I want to really help people build their best careers. May have to order Uber Eats, but, there's that.
So Kelly C. asked if that's penguins. And yes. Penguins. So just thought I would clarify. So Angelo asked early on, this is going way back, how should we respond to peers if offering advice for jobs they may not have experience in? How can we recognize reputable sources?
Good point. So when somebody offers you experience and they have not been successful in the job themselves, what you have to go is ignore it all because it's completely incorrect and it's dangerous advice. So here's what executives say. Thank you. I'll take that under advisement. That means I listened to you and I'm not interested. But most people don't know that. So I'd say, thank you. I'll take that under advisement. How can you recognize reputable sources? Well, Angela, let's say you're an enterprise architect, for example, and you spoke to an enterprise architect that's been moved to the chief technology officer position. Chances are they know enterprise architecture. Now the director of all enterprise architects, guess what? They're there. Now, if they're an enterprise architect that you see in 40 magazines and journals that's speaking everywhere and they're on the speaker list, you can trust them.
Yeah.
But if they got 10 certifications, chances are they don't know anything about anything other than how to pass a certification exam, and do not listen to them ever. Because anybody that thinks they knows 10 people's careers doesn't even know what they don't know. They are so lost, and so don't go there. But look at the people's job, look at their career history, look at what other people say about them, or they publish. Those kind of things will be helpful. Are they at major industry conferences speaking?
Mike, I think I would like to also add, when you see a lot of opinions, say for instance, when you have a lot of these organizational rating websites like Glassdoor, take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I don't even look at Glassdoor.
It's
Yeah,
not
I was gonna get to that question in a
We're
little
gonna
bit.
get to that. We're gonna get to that question. Why?
okay. I'm
Yeah.
gonna leave that. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
well,
and while we're at it, let's go to one more thing because Angela's question. Don't go to forums. I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
If you go to forums, you're going to get non-credible things. You're going to get all the people that can't get a job that have nothing better to do than babble in forums.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that question because I got data. I'm a data guy, so I got data for you. So when we get to that, I'll bring that question up. So
And we'll show you why I would never get my advice from a place like that.
All right. So let's see. Sorry. Okay, so here we go from Kelly C. Let me change this up here. How can you decipher if a company is interviewing you as a result of equal opportunity requirements and wasting your time?
Kelly, that will never, ever, ever happen. And here's the reason. Some of the equal opportunity laws state that if you do a certain number of interviews, you have to hire someone based upon the number of interviews you did. So companies will only interview people they intend to hire.
Yep.
Now, that's the thing. Now, most companies should hire the best and brightest in the world. And let's face it, you will have diversity if you have a good company because there's 300 million Americans. 300 million, maybe 400 million, depending upon immigration and such. There's 6-7 billion people in the world. If you've got a good company, your people are going to be spread. Right now, I'll give you an example. I hired my second person in Cameroon today. I'm all excited about it. We have 2 employees in Africa that both have master's degrees that are brilliant. I've got 2 people in South America right now. One in Colombia, who's amazing, and one in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I don't think I could live without Leo, who's so amazing. So right then and there, we're spread out just because of that. Now, of course, in the U.S., we've got people from everywhere. I've got people from Vietnam working for me. Alonzo lived in Japan. You know, Chris has been in another industry. Good companies, realistically speaking, will hire naturally, but no one will ever interview and waste an interview to click a checkbox. Ever.
Yeah. If they do it, it's not because of EEO.
It's because of one other thing.
It's because they're doing it because they already found the person internally and they have policies in place that require them to do X number of interviews for the position and you know have the posting available externally for X period of time. And again, this is coming from me having worked in HR. It's not the EEO that's going to be the waste. No. It's going to be the internal policies that require them to consider others out, and they've already made the decision. Yeah, they've already decided that Joe or Sarah or Tiffany or whoever in the company is going to get the job, but they've got to do. They have to do
like 3 external interviews.
Right.
Is usually and I was I had this happen.
That's where the wasted. Unfortunately, that's where they come from.
You will see this.
Yeah.
So, for example, when I was interviewed in Cisco about 20 years ago, they had promised the job to somebody else. And I had no idea. And when they interviewed me, it was like, they hired me. And when I took that job on the first day, I met this guy, Tom. By the way, Tom and I are great friends. He was one of the best engineers I ever met, and he's incredibly capable, and we're good friends. When I met Tom, he was like this. Hello, Mike. Hi. And, you know, I think it was about a month into it. I said, Tom, did I offend you? I said, because you're an amazing engineer, and I'm so grateful for all the help you give me. What did I do to offend you? And he said, you did nothing, Mike, but they promised me the job, and we have to do 3 external hires before we can move somebody internally. And you were one of the 3 interviews that was supposed to be a non-starter. Unfortunately, they liked you better than me, and they hired you. So, yes, there will be the wasted interviews that you do go on. But even still, you can still win them if you're extremely good, like I did. But that is a wasted interview, and companies do that.
Yeah. And at that point, it's a matter of perspective. You realize it's happening, you use it for practice.
Yeah. And then you use it for practice. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like you realize it's happening. You use it for practice. You reflect on what you did or didn't do right. Because it was an interview. It was a dry run, so to speak. But that's where that's usually going to happen. At least from my experience.
Yeah, mine too.
Alonzo, any insight on that one?
No, I agree. I mean, it's the same thing. So I wouldn't have anything to contribute on that one. So
I just wanted to make sure, because that was a big one. I wanted to make sure that all to chime in. All right, let's see. So here's a good one from Brian. Brian asked, how do you answer the question, what is your expected salary as a candidate before the interview? Sometimes even recruiters ask this. So I'm taking that as two separate questions.
I'm gonna
We're
address
talk
that.
about the recruiters.
I have.
I'm going to address that in a second. I
Yeah.
just need to bear with me 1 second so I can finish ordering my Uber Eats, because there's no way that I'm going to have a chance to actually cook by the time I finally finish this thing. So bear with me for a few minutes.
All right, so then I will speak, or I'll let Alonzo speak while we're waiting.
I believe in controlling the interview.
Yep.
So if they're asking what your expected salary is, you can flip it on them and ask, well, what is the salary range for this position? This is what I've tried to do. This is what I've done. I don't know if it's something that people would subscribe, but it's I've done it with success. It's like I am able to frame it in a way that shares, or at least gets that overall information about, what it is, so you don't underbid yourself. What do you think?
I think another one is, without having a solid understanding of the expectations of the role, I'm not sure if I can give an answer.
Yes, that's another one.
Because if it's the beginning, if it's before the interview, at the beginning of the interview, because sometimes that's the case. You're asked before.
Yeah, what I ask is usually towards the end. So
So if it's before or at the beginning, then definitely it's, without having a full understanding of what the role is, I'm not sure. We can address that once we've talked about the position.
And why is that such an excellent response? And that is a brilliant response, because it shows you're a thinker.
Yeah.
It shows you don't make rash judgments. It shows you
don't have arbitrary numbers that just
that
you don't. Yeah. So that is a perfect answer. Now, if it's coming from a recruiter, Brian, there's two kinds of recruiters.
Yeah.
I call Christina Marino and I say, Christina, I want a job. And she says, what kind of job? 48 hours later, I've got 6 interviews lined up, because she's that connected.
Yeah.
And then there's the other recruiters that send spam out. They post jobs that they don't even have to harvest resumes. They're the ones that say, what do you want to earn? And they're only going to match you. Get a new recruiter.
Yeah.
Well, and also if it's an internal recruiter versus an external recruiter.
Yes.
If it's an external recruiter, you can share that information. But if it's, because in theory, they're working for you. If it's an internal recruit, in theory, they're working for you. If it's an internal recruiter, they're working for the enemy. You don't share that information.
You don't share it. I was on one interview and they were crazy. I want to know your salary. I need to know your salary. I need to know your salary. And I said, look, $250 to $450 based upon the job. And they were like, oh. But I didn't know what the job was. So how was I supposed to even make a point? I knew the range was $250 to $450. So I went, what was in the range? $250 to $450. But until I know the job, I can't make something. But you also don't know me. So why don't we see what we can do for each other and how we can help each other? And then when we have good information, then we can make a determination. I'm sorry, I just don't make decisions without facts.
And also,
I got an offer from that company.
A lot of these hiring managers don't go in thinking that they're your friends.
No,
they're not your friends. It's a dance. It's your will against theirs. Mike also provided a blog about it being war. It's just you have to know your enemy. But it's not also about beating that competition out, but also walking out of that interview with everything in your favor, not in the company's. You're going to create that opportunity. And there was this one thing that I love about this saying is that it's not what you deserve, but it's what you negotiate.
Yeah.
And when you're able to bring all what you have to offer for that company and walk out of there, drop the mic, they're going to be like, we need this person. Yep. So command that interview, ask the right questions, know what to say, what not to say. Do your recon, do your research on the company, on your department, on your role, on the hiring manager. Walk in there and know more about them and blow their minds. I mean, even if you have to find someone to look on their LinkedIn page so that they don't see that you've looked on it,
yep,
that you can gather that information. It's chess, not checkers.
Yeah, there's that. And, I've had a healthcare person recently get hired and they got a great job and they negotiated a higher salary too, with no tech experience whatsoever. But they were able to show how and why they could help that company. Now, this company was very focused on the leadership skills, the soft skills, and the emotional intelligence healthcare providers had. Interesting, perfect fit. But she did the recon ahead of time.
Yes.
Yep. So Anthony asked, he says, Mike, I loved your dinner tips. I've never heard of that when you were talking about
dinner tips,
finger food versus anything else. Now, I will say, I went on an interview, and after the interview, we went to a barbecue joint. So I was kind of stuck. So I was like, all right, if I'm going barbecue, I'm just going to get straight ribs and eat with my fingers.
And to be truthful, I don't really drink. I have, if I watch a James Bond movie twice a year, I'll have a vodka martini shaken but not stirred. And twice a year, I have a Macallan 25. I don't really drink. And I went on an interview and I ordered water. The hiring manager was drinking. And the hiring manager said to me, look, Mike, you can drink. And I said, but I don't really drink. And he said, I don't trust anybody that doesn't drink. So I ordered a glass of wine. So you got to read the room. So Anthony, you love the dinner tips. Here's the thing. If you want to go into banking, learn banking. How do they make money? What does a market maker do? How does a trader make money? Learn about black box trading systems. Learn about, economics, inflation curves, supply and demand curves. Yeah. Learn about, what goes on with people and how people relate. So, for example, this morning the stock market was up in futures, and then the bad economic training came out. The bad economic data came out, and the stock market went. And it's usually fun to watch when good data comes out because it's like a rocket ship. Well, people that knew looked at this and went, whoa, boom. And it wasn't like a quick drop in the stock market. It was like a 600-point drop in a matter of 3 minutes. Wow. I mean, because it was really bad data.
Sorry,
the economic data has been bad.
I just looked it up for today, and I didn't realize it was as bad as it was. Okay.
I didn't get to see it this morning. I was watching it this morning while I was having.
At the end of the day, the Dow was down 4%.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
I want to address this with Anthony. As you become and you're dealing with a lot of executives, over time, you're going to want to understand the etiquette. And there's this book. My wife had recommended it. She had did this and read this in her professional career. It's called, there's two things. It's by Emily Post, and one is called The Gentleman's Book of Etiquette and Manual of Politeness. And there's also one, it's just overall etiquette in business and politics. So it really helps you to kind of avoid those potholes and landmines of what to say, what not to say. And believe it or not, you may have an opportunity to just deal with regular, multi-million-dollar business owners at a bar with burgers and fries, or you may end up at a elegant dinner where you have to know the difference between a dinner and a salad fork. So
you want to talk about that. So in 2016, a guy running run assistant director of operations for a hotel company in the Mississippi Delta, like the poorest part of the country. Found myself with our hotel company all of a sudden partnering with Trump Hotels to develop a new chain.
I remember. Yeah.
Woo, wow, that was me. All of a sudden, just boom, overnight. Now I'm meeting with the executive vice president of finance and the executive vice president of design from a company who is literally on Fifth Avenue in New York.
Yeah.
And going to their offices and them coming to us, and overnight, wish I'd had those books. Wish I'd had those books, because again, I'm from Mississippi. We like our dirt roads and our barbecue.
I'm looking for the book right now. So when I left engineering and knew that I knew that I really wanted, a heavy duty business job, Brooks Brothers at the time had this book called How to Be a Gentleman. There was another book on how to be a lady. My wife was all class, but I thought it was so cool. I bought her one and I bought me one. I read this book. I read it. What a difference it made for me. It was all about politeness and soft skills and how do you deal with royalty. And trust me, when I had to go meet the health minister and people in the upper echelons of government, I knew exactly what to do in this culture, what expressions work here, what expressions don't. It was so amazing. Anthony, you want the dream come true to dress nice and go to amazing dinners? That's going to be you in 6 months. Yeah. You're going to be tired of going to Morton's and Smith and Walensky and drinking Silver Oak wine and drinking 18 and 25-year-old scotch. You're going to be saying, God, I just want to go home and see my family. Yeah. And I know this. You know how I know it? Because I did it every day for years. I got to the point where I'd offer one glass of wine when nobody was looking. I'd be diluting it with water so it could look like I was drinking wine.
All right. So let's see. So what were the names of those books again, Alonso?
I'm putting them in the chat right now.
Good. I thought I didn't know if you would see that question. So Kelly put a comment in here: how to ask for career advice. Got a video for that. We'll share the link.
Yes, but definitely don't go to Reddit. Don't go to Quorum and ask it, because here's what you're going to get. A bunch of people that never had the job. I had this very sad conversation recently. Someone got 5 certifications, and normally it's because the certification providers are trying to sell irrelevant garbage, and they keep telling people to do it. Here, the only way to pass an exam is do this. And there's a few people that are doing it, but in this case, it wasn't. The person went to software engineers and this career and this career, and they all told them all the things they needed to be able to learn about as an architect. None of the things were useful. So find an expert. Find someone that's had the job for at least 10 years. You're not an expert until you have a minimum of 10,000 hours of experience in a small domain. If the person's got 6 certifications, don't listen to anything they have to say unless they're all on the same thing. Now, if you had a CCIE who had an aviatrics certification and a Juniper certification in networking, and it's all on the same thing, well, they're a certification junkie, but they may know. But the second you see a SysOps person, a DevOps person, and a cloud developer all in the same person, it's 3 careers. You can't know 3 careers unless you're a vampire and can live 2,000 years.
Yeah.
So when I see that, I just view incompetent. I won't even interview anybody that's got more than 4 certifications. I have too much time. My time's too valuable to waste it.
So Jeremy brings up a point here. I think there's something to be talked about here. So there's a trend in certain companies where mental health is important and work-life balance is a critical part of that.
Absolutely.
So my 2 cents before I get to
and what do these?
So I think when it comes to this is not something that's going to happen overnight, and it is going to be something that is an individual relationship between you, coworkers, superiors, and subordinates. A healthy department, a healthy company, a healthy workplace has relationships where they know what is important to the individuals, to the department, and how to make that work. I've shared an example before with my dad, who was, some of you have seen him on here before, some of you got a kick out of him being on here. But he was the chair of a department at a university, and there were budget cuts year after year, and he wasn't able to give raises. And so he knew his team well enough to know what was important to them and how to provide something that was important to them, and at the same time still be able to conduct what was important for the department. So when we say that work-life balance and work-life harmony is not something that you should strive for, or not something that you should ask about, it's not that it's not important.
Yeah.
It's that you got to find it without trying to make it like the deciding ultimate factor, kicking off the interview. So again, going back to healthy companies, healthy departments, healthy teams are knowledgeable about everyone's goals and desires and expectations, and will strive to make them happen. They won't always. You won't get every single part of your work-life harmony that you desire, but they'll at least be aware of it and will acknowledge if they're not able to, if they are able to, and how it works. But what are your thoughts about that?
My thoughts are twofold. One is there's a lot of companies that are losing money and doing layoffs. And the people that talk about work-life balance typically do more layoffs. The companies that are talking about work-life balance in public, they're using robotics and machines to lay off people, to have less employees. So yeah, we care about your work-life balance, but you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. So I think the key is work-life harmony. So when I worked at Cisco, they were the best company I ever worked for. My manager knew me. My manager knew that if I went to my martial arts classes for 2 hours during the day, I was a happy bear. And if I could do my 2 hours of martial arts during the day, I'd be up at 6 o'clock in the morning talking to people in England. And at 6 o'clock at night, I'd be willing to talk to people in California. And then I needed my other 2 hours of martial arts training because I did 4 hours of martial arts a day for my entire career. And then after that, guess what? I returned other phone calls from people in Australia. So good companies care about you. And it's not the company, it's the manager. The manager will find out what you like. Yeah. Chris is a rock star. He takes a nap almost every afternoon. Do I care? No. Am I thrilled to have Chris? The answer is yes. Alonzo's watching his kids half of the day, but he's doing stuff. Do I care? No, I don't care. What I care is, does this stuff get done? So high-performing companies that reward their people from good work will find a way to make you happy. You know, they'll have all these policies and all these things that, here, you can do this. Chris, you can take your nap. I don't care. But so there's that. So who do they allow flexibility in their careers? The people that care about and are not asking for work-life balance. Those people can do whatever they want. I remember going to Greece for a month. And my manager told me, don't let the leadership know you're in Greece. They're like, I don't care. You don't care. Go to Greece. I worked in Greece for a month. I've been in Aruba for a month. I've been anywhere doing anything I wanted. But when the phone rang, I answered it. So yeah, work-life harmony matters. Do something you love and be so good at it and stand there. I remember I had to deal with this. Here's an example. I was at Cisco and I got an award for this. I had to give a presentation to one of the largest banks in the world. It was a critical presentation. On the way to this presentation, and don't be me, I had a massive car accident at like 50 miles an hour. My car completely spinned around. It got towed. It was totally destroyed. I thought my brand new Volvo was going to be totaled. I took a taxi to give the presentation. I thought nothing of it. At the end of the presentation, now I knew I wasn't hurt because I did an exam on my end. I knew that I was okay. I said to I called my manager and I said, you know, how are you today? And he's like, Mike, I heard you got a great delivered a killer presentation and closed the deal. I said, yes. I said, thank you. I said, let you know, I'm going to take off the rest of the day. I'm going to go to the hospital. The manager says, why? I said, on the way to that presentation, I had a massive car accident. He said, in your brand new Volvo? I said, it destroyed my brand new Volvo. And he said, and you still closed the deal? I said, yes. He said, but I'd like to take the time off. He's like, Mike, take the rest of the week off. Take your time off. Go to your Florida house. Go to your vacation home. Just get out of here. But thank you for the presentation. So the point is work-life balance, is flexibility. Work from home, work from here or work from there. But, the work's got to be done, and they care about your ability to do the job. So, Jeremy, I want to work for a company that's financially successful, that's not replacing people with machines. There's grocery stores now that have no employees. We care about your work-life balance. We don't have any employees. Be careful what you wish for.
Alonzo, any thoughts there?
I guess I'm asking. I would ask, why do you need work-life balance? That's the question. It's like, okay, if you're able to.
He actually made a post later that actually answers that.
It's like, why do you need you can't handle your job? Okay, so did we already address German issue?
But this is a follow-up to what he said earlier,
Okay.
but it ties right into what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so you're already ready to kick your feet up to have work-life balance. And it tells me you don't know how to manage your time. To me, it's like, we know that it's having the skill, being a person who is highly in demand because you're a SME or you have a specialized skill. It can be a double-edged sword. You're vastly needed. You are solidifying your employment. However, you're the go-to person. But what you need to do is being able to manage your time, be able to manage the expectations of any workflow process to deliver. Now, there's going to be, like, say, for instance, Mike can say, Alonzo, we've got a really huge project. We've got a lot of architecture that we need to design. It's going to be beneficial for the company. Can you put in the hours needed to make it happen? Sure thing, Mike. What do you need? It's going to take long hours. Okay, I can work with my wife to go ahead and schedule some time for the kids so that I can get this thing done. That's fine, because it is a upwards and downwards tempo. It's not going to be a consistent influx of redlining yourself. However, you got to learn how to balance your work, so that you don't need work-life balance. So, that's why I guess
I don't take a nap in the middle of the day because there's not any work to be done.
Yeah.
I take a nap in the middle of the day because I'm going to take a nap in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get back to the work.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
it's like managing the time. It's like you do what you're supposed to do, so you don't have to be backed up, or I need to get off work early, or I'm not producing and you're coming in late, getting off early. I need work-life balance. You're burning all your vacation time and it's not even April. It's that type of thing where people have to look at your time, schedule what you need to do, prioritize. And that's oftentimes a requirement for the job itself.
Yeah, I mean, Alonzo's been to Jamaica a couple of times in the past few months, and I'm like, yeah, Jamaica's one of my favorite places in the world. Have fun.
So our next question is the one that we were talking about that we would get to. How strongly should you weigh your decision on Glassdoor reviews on a company?
I'll address it first. I never look at reviews ever, and here's the reason why. They're either one of two things. People are buying people to write reviews in many cases, or they're people that are miserable. So I remember, not Cisco, but I worked at a company, and I remember speaking to the product marketing department, and they said, oh, we've got a really great review of our new switch coming out. I said, why? Did they tell you they loved it? They said, no, we paid $50,000 for it. This is 20 years ago. And I said, wait, you bought reviews? And they said, everybody buys reviews. Every new thing that you see in a magazine article, not articles where people talk about things, but about a product, they paid for. In many cases, they paid for the product. It's an advertisement. So it's almost hard to even say it. So the person that got fired is going to be on Glassdoor trying to bash them. The person that didn't know the job that went on an interview that couldn't get hired is going to bash them. Alonzo and Chris are too busy doing their job to go to Glassdoor and write about what we do here. It's not what they're going to do. So successful people aren't on Glassdoor writing reviews. They're the people that, at least that's my perspective. Why don't you talk about it, Alonzo?
I agree. I went, sometimes I'm just curious if there was like early on in my career, if I would look at particular businesses wanting to see what they were doing, how they were doing, it's fun to get on Glassdoor, see what they're talking about. But a lot of times it's a lot of negativity, or it's a lot of, well, this happened to me and I didn't like this. And there are other apps where you're able to discreetly share your opinions. Like there's this app, it's called Fishbowl, and you're able to share how it feels, or you're able to anonymously ask a particular question. But with Glassdoor, why are you going to, if you're not going to if you don't care about these strangers criticizing you, then why would you get advice from these people who had bad circumstances on their own merit or anything else? You got to do your own due diligence and not rely solely on news on the TV anymore, on anything on Glassdoor, because you don't know if you could be missing out on an opportunity or stepping into a bad one because someone was disgruntled, or someone bought ratings to make their work-life balance meter look good to bring in more people.
Yeah. And I know some of the companies that torture their employees are the ones that get listed as top places to work for, but the employees quit and they're miserable. Some places, employees can't even go to the bathroom, and they're saying we care about work-life balance.
Right.
I got some insights on this one, and I'm gonna bring my insights from a unrelated industry.
Perfect.
A highly regulated review industry. Hotel reviews for brand reviews for hotels are highly regulated. Okay. They're very, very I'm not talking about like TripAdvisor and Expedia reviews. I'm talking about the actual reviews that the company solicit from their verified customers. So I've got some data which can be extrapolated to pretty much any industry. Dissatisfied customers, or in this case, employees, typically tell 9 to 15 other people about their experience.
Yes.
Some tell 20 or more. A customer who has a positive experience, on the other hand, is unlikely to tell anyone or leave a review. Only 1 in 10 happy customers leave a good review.
So what that's showing you is all the people that have a good career, that are doing their job, that are getting promoted, you're never going to hear from them.
Yep.
You're going to hear from the people that have an axe to grind.
So, and this comes from this comes from the hotel industry. So I always found this one interesting. And these are just talking points that we had because, like I said, reviews are a huge deal in the hotel industry. Assuming that only 1 of every 10 happy customers leaves a positive 5-star review, it can take 40 positive reviews to make up for 1 bad review.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you extrapolate this to companies, pretty sure the metrics will be very similar. Probably not the same because it's people reviewing companies and not their hotel that they stayed in for a night. But you can safely say that people that are disgruntled about a singular anecdotal situation that has nothing to do with everyone else in the company and just a single instance that happened to them will leave a bad review about a company. So let's take JP Morgan Chase, for example. They have 271,000 employees currently employed It's not saying how many people have worked at JP Morgan Chase. Literally millions and millions and millions of people.
Yeah.
They have 17,000 reviews on Glassdoor. So just of their current employees, that's 6%. But if you take that out of, let's just say 10 million people that have worked at JP Morgan Chase, 17,000 divided by 10 million, that's less than 0.01%.
There you go. Exactly.
Of the employees.
Okay.
So small scale businesses, the gas station down the street, the restaurant downtown that you're dealing with, Glassdoor reviews might benefit you because you're probably going to get feedback directly related to the manager that you'd probably directly be working for. But the companies that people that are watching us are probably going to be working for, there's no reason to give any credit to that to make a decision. The data just doesn't support it.
It doesn't support it. And the point is, all of you, every one of you can be massively successful. But like Warren Buffett says, why do only 2% of the people succeed and 98% fail? They're busy looking to follow the pack. I don't want you to follow the pack. I want you to plot the course, an elite course that gets you to your goal, like an Olympian, not following, what was that? There was a painting I remember seeing. It's called The Parable of the Blind, where you got a blind person connected to another blind person, and one guy's leading them all, and they're all going nowhere.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but who is willing to have the commitment? Who focuses on these soft skills, the top 2%? I hate to say it, but it's there. I teach it because that's how you become the top 2%. So kind of think about these kind of things. Focus on being the best. The cream always rises to the top.
Well said. Yeah.
Yep. So the next one is not too specific to our topic.
I'll answer this one because it's a medical professional.
Yeah.
So Dipal Patel, I'm a nurse practitioner. I used to practice internal medicine. And I've got to tell you, medical people become architects so easily. I got another healthcare provider hired either. No, Patel, you can do anything you want. You want to be a doctor, be a doctor. Be a physical therapist, be a physical therapist. Be a cloud engineer, be a cloud engineer. Be a cloud architect, you can do it all. But a pharmacist is a medical professional. As a pharmacist, you are trained to interview a client. Tell me what you're struggling with today. Or your sinuses are bothering. What makes your sinuses better? What makes your sinuses worse? I have a sore throat. And in pharmacy school, they train you on the following: how to elicit information, how to be non-judgmental, how to be emotionally intelligent. They call it therapeutic communications. How to present your information. The patient comes in and they're taking Coumadin, and they got told that it's rat poison, and you got to convince the patient that if they're in their therapeutic window, it's safe. So Patel, I've got to tell you, medical professionals become architects so easily, and here's why. And then I'll end it here. Here's my job when I used to practice internal medicine. Alonzo would come in and we had a chief complaint. My throat hurts. And I'd say, Alonzo, tell me about what makes your throat better. And he says, if I drink tea, and he'd say, what makes it worse? When I yell at you, Mike, it makes my throat hurt. And I'd say, stop yelling at me. And then what would I do? I'd ask him the questions. Alonzo, can I examine you? He's going to say, of course. They take out my otoscope and look in his ears and eyes and nose. I take out a flashlight, a tongue depressor. I look at his throat. I feel his lymph glands. I listen to his heart and his lung. And I say, Alonzo, you have pharyngitis. And I say, Alonzo, are you allergic to penicillin? Alonzo, are you allergic to penicillin? He says, no. And I give him a prescription for amoxicillin, 500 milligrams QID, or 4 times a day. Now, what do I do as an architect? Alonzo, could you tell me about your business goals, business pain points, and business challenges? He tells me. I say, Alonzo, can I bring in a team of engineers to go examine your system? Sure. I make the same diagnosis, and I make a plan. So doctor, interview a patient. Architect, interview a client. Doctor, examine the patient. Architect, examine the patient. Doctor, make a diagnosis. Architect, make a diagnosis. Doctor, make a plan called a prescription. Architect, make a plan called an architecture. So healthcare people naturally fall into these cloud architect roles very simply. But you can do anything you want. What you ate for dinner yesterday does not define what you're going to eat for dinner today.
I'm just going to assume that Alonzo doesn't have anything to chime in there because I don't.
No.
All right. So our next one is so video presence versus in person is a challenge. How do you contend with the loss of body language over video in interviews?
Well, you got two things, Kelly. So let's look at the data from Harvard. When it comes to communication, 55% of it is what you look like when you say something. 38% is what you sound like when you say something, and 7% is the actual content. So Kelly, you look for the inflection on their voice. You look for micro expressions. Catching it? Leaning forward, leaning backwards, arms crossed, arms not. You got a lot. Now, Kelly, what you lose in the video conference is the feet. The feet tell you everything, and the further you go from the head, further down, the harder it is to control. But Kelly, in a video one, you got a good 50 to 60% of the body language reading that you can do. You can still listen to that inflection point. So I'd say you get about 75 to 80% of the total communication via video versus 100% when you're in person. So be in person. But if not, look at their facial expressions. You can see it. Watch a politician speak. This is going to work. This is going to be really helpful for you. They're telling you they don't believe it themselves. I see it all the time. Watch the news. Watch these politicians speak. This is going to be a great way to curb inflation. It's going to help you. It's not. You're safe walking down these streets. These are good streets. Don't listen. So you still get access to a lot. You still get access to a lot.
So let's see. So from Robert here, interviewing with the VP of Sales tomorrow for a client security architect advisor, what would be good questions to ask?
That's a good question. So there's a few things that you can do. I'll give you my secret way to end the interview because you have to ask some questions. If you've done all your recon, you might be able to ask the type of clients the customer has, what your customer's biggest challenges are. Is it data loss prevention? Is it encryption? Is it privacy? Is it being hacked? You can ask that. But here's my favorite question. Instead of asking some stupid question, because we're all told to ask a question, I like to ask the hiring manager, what are your goals? So that I know if I was part of your team, I could make you and your team successful. That's the question I like to ask. Because that does the following, Robert. It shows them that I care and that I'm a solution to their problem, but it does something else. You know, you're going to see a job description, which honestly is about as relevant as this piece of paper. Trash. I've never had more than 10% of the skills of a job description. They don't mean anything. But your real job description is what that hiring manager tells what's important to you. Alonzo knows what's important to me. Chris knows what's important to me. It's Cindy, for one thing, my wife, for something else. And then making sure our students are successful, our students are getting hired, and then we're getting new students. And that our students are helping each other. That's all I care about. I don't care about anything else other than hired. That's why Chris can surprise me with new pricing on a call, and I'm good with it because I just care that we get people hired. But I would end on that. That's my favorite question to ask in an interview. But you, Alonzo?
It's hard to come back from that. I'm reflecting off of the same thing you are on that. I don't really have anything to say about that. It's hard to.
Yeah, without knowing the specifics of the previous interviews, it's kind of difficult to suggest any specific questions to ask, other than what Mike has already suggested.
Yeah, it's hard to come back from. I mean, you've said it all, Mike.
But you know, this is a world that I've got a lot of experience in coaching people to succeed on interviews. So
yeah. Let's see. So Miguel has a question. He says, "Hi, Mike. English is my second language. Despite me sounding perfectly understandable when I speak it, I do struggle to understand and explain certain things. What would you recommend for people like me?"
Okay, so I want to address this, which is language versus English as a second language. I ain't moving that stuff. That person is not getting any elite job because they don't have a grasp of the language. Now, if you're an immigrant, Alonzo, please close the lights.
Close the
You
what?
might look at me like I've got four heads. I don't speak English at home. One second. My wife is calling me twice.
So to pick up with what Mike is talking about here is, even if English is not your primary language,
Hi, dear.
if it's evident that you
Okay.
have a grasp of the language,
Mm-hmm.
then that is different than not being able to speak the language as your primary language.
Right.
If it's clear that you grasp the language and you understand the specifics of the language, even if you don't say it exactly right,
It's fine.
it's fine.
I'm looking at a sentence structure right here with this question, and it looks
Yeah, I know. You're right.
And you know, it's funny because
Yeah.
I deal with people where English is their second language all the time. They're self-confident. In most cases, their language is more precision than the average
Right.
American.
Exactly.
And I can tell you this: my wife learned English in kindergarten, or no, first grade. Her language is precision. Now she may use some funny expressions. One day I told her to get her ducks in a row, and she looked at me like I had 4 heads. I said, "Let's get all your ducks in a row." She's like this. So Miguel, I've heard your language, I'm pretty sure, and it's fine. We are not worried about English as a second language. We are worried about lazy speaking, poor grammar, not being an immigrant and having a second language. Remember, you speak multiple languages, Miguel. That makes you advantaged over others. I would rather have someone that's got immigrant English language that's pure and speaks maybe Spanish or speaks Italian or speaks French than one person that only speaks one language. International world. Be grateful you speak multiple languages.
Yeah. It can only help you. You know, what if you have that 1% chance where you're a cloud architect and there's a specific language that they don't have, and you're able to introduce even more value to who you are on the job? You'll be even more of a rock star.
Exactly.
So, to your question, what would you recommend for people like you? What I recommend for people like you is realize that you grasp the language. You can communicate effectively with language.
Mm-hmm.
Be comfortable asking people for clarification, because even Leo and I, he doesn't necessarily always understand what I say because I say something that's very American. He may not necessarily understand it. So when you say I do struggle to understand certain things, I'm guessing it's probably similar to what if I say something that's very American that even a British person wouldn't understand probably.
Let's address that too.
Just be comfortable asking for clarification. That will come across better than us not doing it, because it shows that you understand the importance of having the right information.
Yeah,
it's not a sign of weakness; it's a sign of strength, because you showed that, okay, I don't understand this. Let me ask.
Exactly.
We actually teach our people, even if they do speak perfect English and the person they're interviewing with is speaking perfectly English, we teach our people to repeat the question back in some way, shape, or form when they're answering the question, to make sure that the interviewer has the opportunity to say, no, that's not quite what I was asking. So be comfortable asking for that clarification or opening that window for clarification.
Yes,
and also be confident. I mean, think about you're learning technology, cloud technology in a second language. I mean, that's impressive.
Yes, that's very impressive.
Most technology is going to be based in English because that's just the technology came out of the modern world, which it's developed by companies in California in garages. You know, it's so. Just I'm putting that out there. That's just another side piece. A lot of the technology pieces are going to be in English. The other languages don't have the words.
Yeah, and
they use English. They use the American word. I won't say English. They use the American word because their language doesn't have it.
And you got to remember, Miguel, you're dealing with two things. Let's say you're an architect. You're going to be dealing with the elite world. Here's the difference. On BBC America, the British Broadcasting Company, they have subtitles. Because Americans, the regular common man, does not understand English. They literally speaking have to have subtitles. Now, when I go to England, I speak British English. Actually, because I spent most of my time outside the U.S., I speak British English, except when I'm in the U.S. And in the U.S., I try to remember to speak American English. I don't usually do it, but I try really hard. So the P is you speak multiple languages. Wow. That's what matters. Your language, looking at your writing is precision. You got an accent? We all got an accent. I go to England, I got an accent. I go to Greece and I speak fluent Greek. I have a house in Greece. Guess what? They ask me, where are you from, Mike? I'm like, I'm from Befco. They're like, what do you mean, Befco? You don't sound like you're from Befco. I'm like, here's my house. It's on this street, on this address. No. Where are you from? Don't worry about it. Just be great, be precision, and you'll be in great shape.
Yeah. So we've got one more question, and it's our last one so far. Let me find it. So Cruz asks, he says, soft skills are paramount. What resources are available that you would recommend?
Okay, so Cruz, I'm going to give you this inexpensive way to do it, and I'm going to give you the way I did it, and I'll give you the other way to do it. I and my companies probably spend at least $100,000 on soft skill training. Soft skills training is really, really expensive, and here's the reason why. It's only taught by the elite to the elite, and that's one of the differences that specifies a Ivy League school versus everything else is the soft skills. So there's two options. One is you become a nurse, doctor, pharmacist, or healthcare provider. Don't learn somebody else's job to learn soft skills. These people are taught it extensively. 2, you can take some soft skills training courses. Like I said, they're very expensive. Or 3, we put together probably $30,000 to $40,000 of soft skills equivalent training in our Cloud Architect Career Development Program. And I did it for this reason. I know how much it changes lives. I know how much it changes careers. And I know most people can't afford soft skills. And I'm so concerned about giving everybody an opportunity for the elite careers that we teach soft skills, soft skills, soft skills. I even teach it to my engineers in the cloud engineering program because it's that critical to get any of these jobs. So you could take a course like ours, which is the cheapest and most efficient way to learn it. Or, you can take some courses from like a Daniel Goleman and presentation classes. You can do it. I did it. At least $100,000 of courses I took on soft skills and communication skills and those types of things. Companies paid for it, thankfully, most of it, but I paid for some of my own too.
All right.
So I would say I do recommend reading on psychology and learning how people think. I do recommend reading about emotional intelligence, empathy, and there's some good people like Goleman that talk about it, but they only talk about part of the problem, not all of it. I will tell you that who else do I really like in the space? Jerry Weissman is pretty good on presentations, but it's part of the solution, not all the solution. But it's expensive, unfortunately. That's why we teach it so heavily in our program, because I'm trying to change lives for the cheapest cost I can.
And I'm thinking also, consider negotiation skills as well.
Oh yeah.
Also, when you're wheeling and dealing, because a lot of like you said, what's the what we call a business person, a management business person in a lab coat, and you're gonna 50% of that will be tech, but another 50 of that will be business acumen and how you're going to be doing a bit of horse trading here and there and negotiations on how you're going to maximize for the client, and being able to navigate in and out, because ultimately you want to close that deal and being able to maintain those relationships along the way. And that continually means what Mike teaches, along with those negotiation skills, to continue to generate and bring revenue in.
Oh yeah, you got to.
Yep. So this has been a great show. I enjoyed this one a lot.
Yeah,
and I did too. So the show was based on tech career success factors, tech interview guidance, and how to ask career advice. I don't know if we got to we did a little bit of how to ask career advice, but we did a lot about how do you win the interview.
Yeah,
because it's not a certification that gets you hired. It's an interview that you have to pass and prove your competency. So I want you all to have the very best cloud careers. I want you all cloud hired, cloud promoted. We live for it. We just live for that. So today is Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So we've got to We got our Q&A session in the morning.
So if any of you have career questions, join us at 10 a.m. tomorrow, Chris?
Yes, 10 a.m.
Join us live on YouTube at 10 a.m. I feel like I live on YouTube. And we'll be here for your cloud career questions. And if you're looking for your first cloud architect job, join us on Thursday for the How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar. It's going to be lots of fun. And follow us on LinkedIn so you can see some of the messages we share. We share a lot of content on LinkedIn and a lot of content on YouTube. We're not everywhere. We really focus on, playing our world and the things that we know the best. So I really, Jeremy White, thanks, Mike. You pushed me to improve your business acumen. Good. You've been struggling about executive presence, Myers-Briggs personality types, and human behavior. I'd worry much more about executive presence and personality types. It's an art, not just a science. To study your sociology, study your psychology, study your economics, study your communication skills, your body language reading, your negotiation. That's the stuff. Oh, Tracy. Thank you, Mike, Chris, and Alonzo and the Go Cloud Careers family for a great show. You hope everyone has a blessed night. Tracy's amazing. Thank you so much. Isaias, excellent content. I feel like I was in a mastermind class. Good. That was the whole point. You're surprised that all of this is giving away for being free. We'll be joining our program and learning more. Wonderful. We're honored and can't wait to work with you. I will say this, if you can see what we give away for free, you can only imagine what our paid products are and what our students do.
And if you all missed out on any of the book links, I'll be more than happy to share them in the Cloud Development channel for you if you all are inclined.
There was a message from someone earlier here. Here it is. This one was from like an hour and a half ago. From LM, random plug as a student. This is the information you're getting for free. You don't understand how much more information is displayed and shared in the paid classes.
Well, LM, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sorry. Obviously, I didn't share it earlier for obvious reasons. It wasn't. We're taking questions.
Yeah, I didn't see anything in the chat box other than I saw a pharmacist, and I was like, "Oh, medical person, we got to help that person."
Yeah. So
AJ, good to see you, and Anselm, welcome. It's good to see you. Chindu, thank you so much, and Brian McCool in Philadelphia. Claude Hard, thank you. David, thank you so much.
All right. Well, any last words, gentlemen?
Always a pleasure hanging out with you gents and being able to share with our community. I appreciate you all giving us an opportunity to share what we've learned collectively and individually. And we are looking forward to seeing you guys in class. Come back with any Q&A, any last minute ideas or questions that you have, show up at YouTube, and we will look forward to seeing you there.
Can't wait to see you all.
Bye, everybody.
Got hired, everybody.